Team, welcome. We're back at it. We have a whole lot of Pokemon cards to rip here, so we're going to waste no time because there's a little thing called World Cup Soccer going on, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be way more interested in that than this when the time comes. So we're going to try and fit this in as much as we can beforehand and let people get to rooting on the US of A. But how awesome would it be if we could pull ourselves a Greninja before that? So I am super excited to welcome Jeff Jing with us. Jeff is an awesome gentleman that I met at the Culture Collision Card Show a few weeks back. If you've been following us on the socials, you saw the post we made where Jeff visited our table and pulled a full art Piplup, and then was kind enough to sing the praises of our concept on stream, which was super cool as well. So I by no means am a expert in Pokemon, and he was the first guy that came to mind when I was thinking of somebody that might help shed some light for myself and any other newbies that are potentially tuning in. So Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, give us a 60-second rundown about you and where you're from and how you got into Pokemon and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm currently in Los Angeles, and I was a streamer on Whatnot for maybe the last 6 months on Pokemon, and my roots with Pokemon go really, really far back. Right, it was like one of the staple games that pretty much everyone played when we were kids. And
Right
so,
on.
I was definitely a part of that group, and just really fell in love with it. And when you're like in your teenage years and like early 20s, you kind of fall out of it. It wasn't like super big, but then sometime around last year, probably like right in the summer too, I got right back into it because I just saw it was exploding,
Yep.
and I had never really taken the TCG like too seriously. But I finally got the chance to do that, and it was a lot of fun. And so just try to be in the space.
Awesome. Awesome. So were you in it like from the beginning of Pokemon? Like when did you first start getting into it as a kid?
My very, very first game was, I'm trying to think, Fire Red and Leaf Green. And right around that time, I discovered Emerald as well. They had all been out for maybe a year-ish.
Okay.
I was born in 97, and so I was like maybe 8 years old when I, got into the games, and it was a lot
Okay.
of fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm hoping that you can give us some Pokemon history as we go here today. I'd be very interested in hearing that, and I would imagine others are as well, because there is a rich history to be covered in its evolution, and I am just scratching the surface of trying to learn all of that. So feel free to educate us. I'm going to educate our viewers real quick on a couple updates with ETC. We have posted the auctions for Founder Funded #1 as of yesterday. So the 7 Wemby rookie cards that we pulled are actively up for auction right now, including a red, white, and blue Prism. So very excited for the team for that. And we'll hope to have these out hopefully by the end of the week. And we are tentatively planning on doing a impromptu soccer break on Sunday to celebrate the World Cup. So I'm in the market for a couple Panini Prism 2026 FIFA hobby boxes, and if I can get my hands on a couple of those, we'll rip those next Sunday and celebrate hopefully what will be a win tonight for the team against Belgium.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, other than that, I don't think I have a whole lot to cover. So I will do the quick spiel here before we get started. As you can see on the hand screen right here, as always, if you wanted to bid on any of the cards that we're pulling in this break, you needed to be a member before I press the start button here in about 30 seconds. So that's the way our membership system works. If you want to bid on what's been pulled, you need to make sure that you join prior to the start of the live stream. Otherwise, don't hesitate to join if you are tuning in a little bit later in the live stream, because only while this live stream is active will that discount code that you see on the screen be in effect. So you can get 10% off your membership right now with the discount code livestream10 if you happen to join during this live stream. And otherwise, still don't let that deter you. There are many, many more founder-funded breaks on the way while we get this thing up and running and we educate people on the value that ETC has to offer. So we encourage you. We'll have, like I said, the soccer coming up. We've got a $7,000 jumbo box of 2018 Topps Chrome Baseball. We'll be chasing some Ohtani rookies. When we hit 40 members, we've got a $15,000 box of 1987 Fleer basketball that we're going to give to the team as a reward for Elevation Day #1. So tune in and join the team in the right way to rip. And with that, I think we should get to it. I'm going to go ahead and hit the break start button here. We are underway. So, I thought that we would, you tell me, Jeff, in terms of the order that these go in, I just assumed we would save the cases for last, and then we'll kind of start with smallest to biggest. So we'll start with the blister box, or blister pack, and go to the booster bundle, and hit the ETB, and then go to the cases. And then as we hit each one, I was hoping you could just kind of cover, in the beginning, just cover the different release formats that Pokemon comes out in these days, and what the appeal and trade-offs are between all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That works.
Cool. Let's do it. So we'll start with the blister here. So tell me about the blister. So obviously, first and foremost, we've got the promo card that comes in every blister. Now, is there anything special about the promo card that comes in blisters other than the fact that you can only get it in a blister?
So other than the fact that you can only get them in a blister, there isn't anything like that really stands out for these specific promo cards. A lot of the times what they do is they're just looking for a filler card to put in. I do know that the ETB promo cards, right? Like some of the other sealed products, their promo cards are worth a lot more. But there are people who seriously go for promo cards of all kinds, and I know that they'll just submit these into PSA anyway. But I'm not too confident that this specific card would have too much value, just outside of it being a hollow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a nice card either way. Yeah.
So as we go, we're going to be using a lot of Pokemon terms that people may not be familiar with. So we'll cover things like hollow and stuff as we go. But real quick, I want to make sure that I get this right. I know I discard this, and then I'm pretty sure I put this on the bottom, and I flip it up like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that would work just fine. Yeah, but I think you have the cards upside down. Maybe I'm not.
Well, yes. Sorry, I'm not even looking at my hands before I do this. All right, here we go. So we have 500 packs to get through, and normally I don't like going through and blowing through base cards, but we're going to do that today. So as we go, I'm going to pivot here, Shania, and I'm going to ask you to sleeve. I'm going to pass all of our sleeved cards, non-base cards, off to Shania. She will sleeve them and then capture them so that I can just keep on ripping. We're going to see if we can set a world record here today in terms of pack ripping. And
yeah, I was going to say, we're trying to get through all 500 packs before the World Cup game. That'll be 7 seconds a pack.
Yeah. That is obviously not going to happen, and so we're gonna bleed in a little bit, but it is what it is, and we'll just. So one thing that I learned at the card show. Oh, we already got our first.
Nice,
all right.
First hit. I
Sweet
like it.
Deal. All right, and so now we can see that this is a. Is this an ultra rare? The 2 black stars?
No. This is an EX card. I guess people call them EX cards, but I think the formal rarity is double rare.
Double rare. I'm sorry,
Yes.
not ultra rare. Right. And so this is the thing that threw me for a loop when I first started pulling Pokemon. Is those look like awesome cards, and they are good cards, right? They're not awesome, but they're not the chase cards. These are not the main things that people are chasing. the main things that people are chasing are art variations of those cards, effectively, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Alrighty, and I was saying that I learned that this might not have been like the best release to start on, because I had more than one Pokemon enthusiast tell me that they were not super enthused about Chaos Rising. Is that something that you would like either share the opinion of, or understand, or recognize that that might be like a greater feeling in the hobby?
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, I think that like, so basically what the Pokemon TCG does is they like break them down into what I guess a lot of people call series. The current Mega Evolution series, it's been, really hit or miss for a lot of the sets that have come out. Chaos Rising, in my opinion, is probably one of the better ones, to be totally honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot of people, even so though, a lot of people aren't huge fans of them because like the previous sets, like the Scarlet and Violet series, like they had a lot of really, really good sets, like Black Bolt, White Flare, Destined Rivals, right?
Okay.
Compared to those sets, I would definitely say that, Chaos Rising is a bit lacking. But
Okay.
what it does have though is a very nice chase card, right? The Greninja is absolutely gorgeous, and it's
Yeah.
also very, like well received character in just general pop culture, right? I believe it's in Super Smash Bros. Nowadays, right? So
Right. Yeah.
there's a lot of like general appeal going for the set, but overall, like if you try to rate the set without the Greninja card, it does appear to be a little bit more lacking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of things are people evaluating when they're, ranking their favorite sets? What are the like the most important considerations in terms of like popular sets versus unpopular sets?
Honestly, it really sucks to say this, but a lot of the times it really just does come down to like which Pokemon are featured in them. And
Okay.
so like I like to give the example. A lot of
Hey,
people
another one.
will say, yeah, another Pyroar,
Yeah.
nice. Um, a lot of people will say that Ascended Heroes like is overrated. That was a set that came out. Those two sets before the current one you're ripping right
Right.
now.
Right.
And
And I
to be
have seen
honest with you,
stuff on the socials that Ascended Heroes is generally well regarded, and
yes.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah, if you look at it like, just from like a, like data analysis standpoint, right? Honestly, I've come to the conclusion, time and time again that it's probably this like the strongest set of all time for a lot of factors, right?
Wow.
The
Really?
biggest one, yeah, the biggest one being that it features so many like of the original popular characters. So there's
Oh.
two different special illustration rare Pikachu cards. There is a golden Charizard card. There is a golden Dragonite card, a special illustration rare Dragonite, and a special illustration rare Gengar. And there are also God packs where every single card in the pack is a hit. And
Right.
at its peak, a single God pack could be worth up to like $4,000 in raw cards. Like it was absolutely crazy. There were also
Wow.
a new rarity tier that was released. It's called Mega Attack. It sits right in between Special Illustration Rare and Illustration Rare,
Okay.
and yeah, that really helped with the pull rates as well. And so a lot of things like that, that make a set unique in those kinds of ways, make it very, very popular, very sought after, and just make it a very strong set overall, right? So it
Okay.
really has to do with the characters and then like sort of like the new mechanics of the set themselves, right?
Okay.
So all those things will really make or break a set.
And so the the new tier that you mentioned that came out in that one, that was, oh, okay.
Ooh,
Sweet
Chinchino,
deal.
nice.
And so now we're looking for the full art version of the non-EX card in this one. Is my understanding. Is that correct? The Chinchino
Yes.
full art is one of the chaser cards in this
Yes,
set, I believe.
there's two versions of that though. There is
Right,
you're
right,
gonna
right.
see
Okay, right,
two silver stars, which is just the ultra rare, right? Like
right.
they call it full art, and then there is two gold stars on the bottom left, and that denotes the
The
special
special
illustration rare.
illustration rare, right? And that's
Yes.
the one I mean, typically that would make sense. Obviously, most of the time we're going for the special illustration rares And so my to my surprise, and I told you this on our earlier test stream, that we're actually going for the Greninja that isn't the all gold mega. What is
Yep.
it? Mega hyper rare is the
Hmm.
proper name of it, which is
Yes.
a super cool looking card, and I'm going to be super
Mhm.
pumped if we pull that one. But typically that is supposed to be or ends up being the biggest chase in a release, but in this one it isn't necessarily. Is that your understanding?
Yes, it's you know, I think that I'm probably, one who shares your opinion. Like I personally really like the gold cards, but
Okay.
the general market doesn't seem to agree that they're, as they should be as valuable as they are. And so a lot
Hmm.
of people kind of overlook them and regard them as pretty much carried, like in terms of pricing, carried by like, how difficult they are to pull. And believe me, they
Right.
are difficult. I think the pull rate for a gold card is like 1 in 1,000 packs. That's like 5 cases.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
there is a high
5 cases of
likelihood that
booster
we're not
boxes.
even going to have a chance at that, and we've got two full cases, right? So that's
Yeah,
wild.
so it's tough.
Yeah.
But honestly, I personally really like the gold cards, and I also think that like the Mega Evolution, the entire line, every single set in here is going to have like at the very least a strong gold card that is worth pulling, which over time I think will really help boost the value of the sealed products
Okay.
for these sets. If you look back at some of the previous sets in the past, in like Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet era, like there are some really weak sets that just don't have anything going for them, right? Like the chase cards are worth far less than what the booster box ends up being worth because of how
Right.
long they're out of print. And then you have this weird phenomenon where nobody wants to open the packs because they're just too expensive to justify
Sure.
what you can get out of them.
Sure.
But now that you have gold cards, right, something that like for sure has a set value that's like very high. I think that that will do very well for a lot of the sets.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So we have gone through two more release types here as we've been talking. So let's circle back. So we just went through a booster bundle, and now we're
Mhm.
going through an elite trainer box.
Yes, sir.
And my understanding is also that there's a Pokemon Center elite trainer box that you can
Yep.
get, but only effectively online or from a quote unquote Pokemon Center. What makes a Pokemon Center in non Pokemon Center?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, PokemonCenter.com is like that's the official Pokemon company's website,
Oh,
and they do releases and drops, right? But the caveat is they do one and maybe two releases that include Elite Trainer boxes from their website, and everything else is just general products, right? And when I say general products, I mean products that aren't stamped with the Pokemon Center logo. And so the Pokemon Center logo Elite Trainer boxes are like very collectible.
okay.
They like I said earlier, they only like appear for maybe one wave, maybe two, so, for some sets if they're extremely popular, and then that's it. And for the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, they actually come with 11 packs instead
Right,
of 9.
right.
And on top of that, you get both the promo cards. You get the Pokemon Center stamped promo card and the non-Pokemon Center stamped promo
Okay.
card. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and so Elite Trainer boxes that you get anywhere else, like your retail stores like Target, Walmart, GameStop, they do not get Pokemon Center stamped products.
Okay. Got
And
it.
so it becomes very competitive. A lot of times the supply succumbs to botting and things like that. And it makes it very hard for people to get the products at like MSRP, manufacturer's suggested retail price.
Right, right. And the difference between buying a booster bundle and a booster box is one has 6 booster packs, one has 36 booster packs, and the value proposition there is strictly, the price per pack is technically supposed to be a little bit less if you buy a booster box. Is that correct?
But yes, that's correct.
There's no difference in terms of the cards that you can pull from a booster bundle versus a booster box. Just the the more packs you have, the higher odds are that you'll pull something better. Is that your understanding or no?
Yeah, I think that's about right. There's probably a way to actually like math it out. But I know that there are certain like not officially like stated like hit rates for when it comes to booster boxes. I think booster bundles are a little bit more up in the air. I have had experience opening like entire cases of booster bundles, and from what I've seen in those 25 like booster bundle cases, you probably get anywhere between like 2 to 4 special illustration rares in the entire box. Oh, nice,
All
full
right,
art.
so we got our first full art. Very nice. That's a pretty card. So now,
Yeah, going to the beach,
you,
man. It's the summer.
yeah. So you can use this opportunity to teach us a little bit about the illustrator, right? Because this, I have learned, is a big deal in the community. That
Oh yeah.
these special illustration cards. Now, do they have a set, amount of drawers or illustrators that they use, or does it change? Does it rotate? Do they add people? Do people leave? Like how does that whole world work?
So
Do you
from
know?
my understanding, the illustrators, I think a lot of them are asked to come back, and they do give a lot of people like newer artists opportunities as well. So it is a bit of a rotating kind of thing.
Okay.
But how exactly they rotate it, I'm not too sure about.
Okay.
A good example I can give you is so MEO2, which was Phantasmal Flames. That's just like the serial number for the set, right? Phantasmal Flames, the chase card, the Charizard that everyone's crazy about with
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
like all of the evolution characters for Charizard on the card. That
Right.
was drawn by Dan Chow, and he also ended up drawing the Gengar, which is in Ascended Heroes that
Ah.
everyone else is also crazy about. So he did 2 in a row, for like 2 sets, right? But
Right.
from what I've seen, that doesn't happen too often. They do like to mix it up. I know Shinji Kanda is another extremely popular artist in the space, and there are
Oh.
people who really go after specific illustrators and like cards that they've drawn and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's very, very cool. They also do draw non like illustration rare cards, like the common ones that you're seeing,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
So this
a lot
isn't
of people like those too.
these are not illustrators that are only exclusive to the rare cards. They will do
Yeah.
illustrations for base cards as well. Okay. Or
Yeah, and then
I keep calling them base cards, but they're common and uncommon, I guess is how.
yeah, I mean, no worries, pretty much same thing.
Okay. And we've now gone through all of the packs in this booster bundle. We've gotten 2, or not booster bundle, elite trainer box, and we've gotten 2 full arts versus none in the previous 2 release styles. Is that would you suspect that is just coincidence, or is there some maybe relationship there between opening elite trainer boxes and having the higher potential to pull full arts or special illustrations and things like that?
There are a lot of conspiracies regarding that, and to be honest, I'm a bit of a subscriber to that too. Like
Are
I
you?
think
Okay.
only once have I ever like I do call it a conspiracy because like there really aren't any set guaranteed pull rates, not for English products, right? But
Right.
only once did I ever pull like the worst Elite Trainer box of all time. I opened it, and I think out of the 9 packs, I only saw 1 EX card. Like that,
Wow.
it was crazy. And so like after that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably actually just all up to luck, right? But for
Sure.
the most part, they're like on average, like at least when I was doing breaks for people on stream on whatnot, you usually average between 3 to 5 hits per Elite Trainer box, right? Like that's a
Okay.
very good hit rate. It's like we're talking
Okay.
like
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
They do try to like beef up those products, in my opinion. Like and also from what I saw is if you have like an entire case of Elite Trainer boxes, right, that'd be 10 ETBs in one case.
Okay.
You generally see at least 1 special illustration rare. Maybe you'll see 2, and then
Okay.
I don't think we've ever seen 3. But I wouldn't say that it's impossible.
Got you. Okay. So I got to say, this is the first box of cards, or not box, case of cards I've ever opened in my life, like sports or Pokemon or whatever. So feeling a little monumentous right now.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, this is a big deal. And so, like we said, we should reasonably expect not to potentially pull one of the gold Greninjas from 2 cases. How about a special illustration rare? Can we
I think a
reasonably
special
expect-
illustration where you're pretty much. I would be shocked if you opened both cases and didn't see one. Even one case and not seeing one, I think is also virtually impossible. I don't think I've ever seen that. Like most of the time, you're gonna see like at the minimum one SIR in a case of booster boxes, but it's not uncommon at all to see like 2 or 3.
Okay.
You know, that's definitely not out of the question.
All right. My lovely wife is behind the scenes here. She's doing the card capturing for us. And for those of you unfamiliar with ETC, we sleeve every single non-base card that we pull and capture it live on stream. Those same images are the images that you will see on that card's auction page on the website. Our auctions are blind, Victory-style auctions where no one sees your bid, you don't see anyone else's bid, and if you happen to have the highest bid for a card, you only pay the price of the second highest bid. So that is just one of the many ways we offer value to the collector today, whether it's novice or seasoned vet. And all of these cards that we pull are going up for auction to the team, every single one. And I guess one announcement that I neglected to make in the beginning that I should probably make right now while I'm thinking about it is when we posted Founder Funded #1 yesterday, that marked the beginning of a little evolution in the way that we are going to handle posting base cards. We created, all right, got another one, sweet
Nice.
deal. We created base lots, and that is how we are going to approach these bases for these Pokemon breaks like this and any other, breaks where we're pulling a whole bunch of base cards that probably aren't of much interest to people. But what we did is we organized them in as much of a full set as we could. So for the Founder Funded #1, the first lot that we put together of base cards is 296 out of the 300 base cards. So you can bid on that entire lot. And the subsequent sets were, as much of that full set as we could make until you get to kind of the remainder, the leftovers lot. And we'll do the same thing with this Pokemon. We are going to have a whole bunch of cards with which to try to put together the full 86 card base card set. So we should have, all right.
Nice. First illustration rare. Let's go.
Let's go, dude. That's sweet.
Like that.
That's sweet. All right. So as I was researching this, there are just an enormous amount of names that I am just not even going to attempt to pronounce. Like, this isn't that hard. I assume it's Tauros, but
Yep.
say the Sincico is, how did you say the
Chino.
Chinchino. That was one of many that as I was researching, I was like, yeah, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to. Where can you go? Do you know if there's a place to go where you can, outside of just watching the show and waiting for the Pokemon to pop up on the show, how you can learn how to pronounce these names?
Well, luckily, like that's probably the best way to do it. But nowadays, we got YouTube, so you don't have to actually like sift through any of the videos.
Okay.
I remember, since I had taken a break from Pokemon, there were a bunch of names that like I was struggling with, and that's exactly what I did. I just went on YouTube, typed in the Pokemon name, like anime appearance or something, and Ash or one of the other trainers would like scream out the Pokemon's name, and then like, okay, that's how you say it. Cool.
Okay. Are they generally like you read them and you tend to have a good shot at saying them as they were meant to be pronounced?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not
I
trying
think
to throw you for a loop.
Yeah, there's not very many that like I think was really off on when it came to trying to figure out how to pronounce them.
Okay.
Like they mostly like are pronounced exactly the way that you would expect.
I'm going to shout out some friends and family here that we got on stream, so you'll have to excuse me for a minute, Jeff. That's about the we're just getting started, so that's about the viewers that we get so far. But I see my boy KT in the chat. I see Padre and Ashman. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for tuning in and supporting. Now, let's take a little side venture here from just talking about Pokemon. And can you tell me a little bit about your experience being on Whatnot for the amount of time that you were? How did you enjoy that? How did you find yourself getting into that? Did you learn anything good or bad about the experience? How did that go for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Whatnot was a very positive experience overall for me. You know, like a lot of the times, you get to meet very very nice people, and I think that it definitely helped me get over like being camera shy, right? So like that was a very positive thing. I remember
sure.
the first couple of times I was turning on my stream, and I was nervous. Ooh, Froky,
Let's
nice.
go, dude.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's go.
And I think that like having genuine reactions to stuff, right, like is like the key to it. You have to like really enjoy it and really like it, right? And
For
I
sure.
kind of got into Whatnot mainly because I like Pokemon so much, and I had met a friend on my birthday a couple months back before I started, who was in like the space, and he helped me get like started and all of that. And I think overall it's definitely an enjoyable experience. The big thing I would say to watch out for, though, for people who are, like kind of interested in getting in that space, is like don't underestimate how much like extra work there is to a stream, right? Like a lot of times you think, oh, I just turn on my camera, I have the products, I'm good. But
Yeah.
like if you have like 100 orders, you have to have enough bubble mailers and team bags, top loaders, sleeves, everything to
Yep.
make sure that the order goes smoothly, and then you have to like label everything, package everything like very very firmly too, to make sure that it gets to the buyer in the condition that they want it in, right? You got to make sure
Sure.
everything is like all airtight, and so it
Sure.
becomes a lot of work afterwards. And so I think that, and just the general slowdown because of how unaffordable Pokemon cards have become, were ultimately why I took a step back from the scene. But I do think that it's overall a very positive place, right? I didn't really have many issues. Sometimes you get some viewers who are a bit more sour, not super polite, but that's part of the game, right? Like you've got to be able to deal with people like that, and you've got to be able to like show a level of professionalism that might not be returned, because it's at the end of the day, it's your stream, it's your name, right?
No doubt. And now, I mean, you hit on a whole bunch of things there that I'm very curious in, and so I will try to be good about not making you talk your head off here. But I definitely am going to start with the last point that you just made in terms of the viewers and what would make a viewer salty, like just an unrealistic expectation that I bought in this break, so I should absolutely be getting something good, and not just realizing the nature of opening packs, or where
Yeah,
did that
there's
friction come
I
in?
think I definitely think that that was probably the most common one. Just a lot of times people have this expectation because they're excited, you know what I mean? Especially if you have like the newest sets, like for example, the Rayquaza set's coming out on the 31st of July in Japan. And
Okay.
like, if, for example, we were streaming that, right? Like, everyone is opening this, everyone's paying a premium, right, to open with you because they want that Rayquaza. But the truth is, like, if you have, 30 to 40 booster boxes, you're probably going to see 2 or 3. You might see 4 to 5, right? So like, 80% of people aren't going to get what they paid for, or what they
Right.
want to have paid
Right.
for,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
they're understandably upset, and so like as the person who's like selling, right, as a person who's streaming, it's your job to to be entertaining, to try to make sure that like you understand, right? Like they're upset, right? And some people might be angry enough to like take it out on you in the chat, right? But like at the end of the day, that's something that you've got to really deal with, because you do understand, like, exactly how they're feeling. You know what they're going for, and they didn't get it. There we go, Floette.
Yep.
There you go.
I don't know. I didn't add it up, but how many different just base EXs are there in this set? Do you know off the top of your head?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Does it vary from set to set? I would assume
it should vary from
Yeah.
set to set. I think there are 86 or 83 base cards in this.
Yes, I think 86.
I can actually 86. Yeah, you can see it on the bottom left of a card. Yeah, 86. So every single number above 86 is going to be either an illustration rare, or
Exactly,
something
right.
like that, something special.
Oh, I got real excited. I saw Greninja. There's our base.
There you go. I wanted to mention that, even though there aren't god packs in this set, because it's not a specialty set, there is something that a lot of the I guess, like, a lot of the Pokemon community, like, they do have a name for something, but it's like a pretty rare phenomenon. It's called getting the God Box, right? They're talking about booster boxes. And a God Box is basically where you see all of the rarities of the chase card in one singular box.
What?
So you can see the gold Greninja, the special illustration rare Greninja,
Hey.
and the full art ultra rare Greninja all in one box.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be a God Box. That would be insane.
Yeah, someone posted their God Box from Phantasmal Flames, and it was nuts. It was like the gold Charizard, the SIR Charizard, and the SR Charizard. It was crazy.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah. There you go. Full art ultra rare Pyroar. Let's go.
Let's go.
Nice.
That's our first of these so far, so that's pretty exciting.
Yep.
All right, so this is another thing that I have learned as getting into this is, when I was first making the business and trying to figure out what I was going to call the different types of breaks that we were going to do just to help, the everyday collector understand a little bit, I was going to name, any kind of TCG break a God Pack break. And as I got further into the hobby, I discovered that God Pack is unique to Pokemon. Is that correct? Or do they do God Pack type things in other TCGs? Do you know?
I'm honestly not entirely sure, but I remember
seen any like in One Piece or anything like that.
I forgot which sports card product had something like that. It's called like a snack pack, if you know what I'm talking about.
No.
I forgot. I think it's like Topps or Bowman or something. And there's basically a snack pack which comes like, it's like one extra pack of like maybe 4 or 6 cards, and they're like literally all.
Oh, you mean like a Sparkle pack?
Maybe, I don't know. Let me find it. Sports.
Because Topps will do Sparkle pack, or Panini does Sparkles and Topps does Silver. I forget what it, but yes, I mean those I'm familiar with.
Yeah, Monster 2026 Bowman Snack Pack Bubble Gum.
Oh, that I don't know.
If those words mean anything to you.
All right, nope.
I'm trying to find it. Major League Baseball. Yeah, I think it's literally just called Bowman Snack Pack, and then there's like bubble gum, there's peanuts, and there's like popcorn or sunflower seeds. It's kind of like basically the sports equivalent of a God Pack, and then it's just an extra pack of cards that come in a box, and that appears like once. I think I was told it was like 20 cases or something like that.
Oh my god!
And every single card in that snack pack is like an autographed, like super fancy looking card. Like that thing is worth like literal thousands of dollars.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and so that would be the closest equivalent that I've ever personally seen.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure if like One Piece or the other TCGs have a concept of a God Pack. And God Pack is pretty like relatively new, even in Pokemon. Like I'm trying to think. I know Pokemon 151 had God Packs. I'm not too sure if anything further down had something like that.
And so you are gonna, because this is not something that I have had the time to come across in my research. What separates a special release that can have God packs in it from a just a your run of the mill Pokemon release that does not have the chance to have a God pack?
So the biggest difference is that, well, number one, they're gonna announce it beforehand that it's a specialty set, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
most of the time, like the specialty sets these days, like they actually differ pretty vastly, and I'll get into that. But the biggest difference from a normal set and a specialty set is that normal sets, they have booster boxes, right? 36 packs, like,
Right.
good bang for your buck. The
Right.
specialty sets do not have that. Though the sets that can produce God packs do not have booster boxes. So we're talking
Oh.
prismatic evolutions, Pokemon 151, Ascended Heroes, right? You can only get, elite trainer boxes, tech sticker collections, and booster
Oh. Is
bundles,
that
things like
right?
that. Yep.
So effectively, they're more expensive. Is that what it breaks down to?
Yes, they're basically, it's like they know they have a premium product. They made
Yeah.
the set very, very, nice, collectible, and sought after. And so they do want, they're a company at the end of the
Sure.
day, right? They're
Sure.
trying to squeeze out some
Ooh,
money. And so that's what they do. There you go. Full
let's
art,
go.
ultra rare Chinchino.
Let's
Nice.
go.
I like it.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So that's definitely something to really know, because I remember too, one of my viewers, I try to at the time when I was streaming, be pretty close and like just open. We had like our own Discord server, right? And one of the newer guys, he came up to me and he like sent me a picture in my in DMs of a Prismatic Evolutions booster box, and I was like, oh no. He's like, yeah, I
Wow.
bought that off eBay, and I'm just like, no,
Wow.
dude, bro, like,
Oh,
my man, you got to get
that's
your money back, bro. Like, that's
brutal.
not real. And he was like super hyped too, so I felt
I bet
so
he
bad
was.
telling him that.
I
Yeah,
bet he was. That's what kills
it's
me is, and that's a big part of why I created the company and wanted to do something
Mhm.
about it, because this hobby is, it's become I mean, I collected cards as a kid in the 90s, right? And so, I was a teenager collecting cards, and I was collecting cards in what I've now discovered was known as the junk wax era, because cards were, overproduced and therefore hold very little value, on average anymore. And so, the plus side of that is, as a kid, you have no idea, and you can go to the store and you can rip packs all you want, and ripping packs is awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody loves ripping packs, and I got out of the hobby, around the turn of the 2000s, and but I kept my collection, and I brought it along with me everywhere I went. And as you were saying, as Pokemon has risen, so to have just regular sports cards, and so I have in the recent years heard more and more about how the hobby's exploding and this and that, and see my cards in the closet just sitting there staring at me, begging to be pulled out. And so last year I finally pulled them out and went through them, and had a blast doing that. Ooh.
Ooh, nice.
But one thing that couldn't, one itch that could not scratch was, ripping packs. And so I go to the store and I start ripping packs, and I am just flabbergasted at, how much the hobby has evolved. Not just in terms of price, because it's obviously gotten ridiculously expensive, and that was the primary reason for trying to figure out a way, because I got taken, being ignorant in the today's hobby, and trying to rip packs is not a good combination. It's just a
Yeah.
guaranteed loss function. And so I got to the point where I had lost enough money that I was like, this is the, not only can I not afford to keep doing this myself, but this just isn't right. Like, a kid can't go out, unless they want to go to Target and spend $60 on a mega box that they're going to pull, next to nothing in 99 times out of 100, and maybe one time they get a nice SSP or something like that. Like, a kid can't rip packs anymore. It's just it's out of reach, and let alone rip packs of product that has a real possibility of getting some decent cards out of it. So, and on top of that, the fact that people will now capitalize on that and run the innumerable scams that they try to run on eBay. I just don't like the direction that that type of stuff is headed. So that was what I was trying to do with this is, let's bring it all out in the open. Let's talk about it. Let's acknowledge that, I'm not an expert and I don't expect anyone else to be. And hopefully we can continue to bring people like yourself on and educate us and keep everyone, playing on the same level playing field. That's my goal in all
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. I completely agree with that. Like, and also to your point, right? Like with how exploding, the secondary market has been for Pokemon sealed products, like it's harder than ever for kids to actually get their hands on product, and
Yeah.
like at a reasonable price, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, God forbid you're not like totally, plugged into the scene and, keep track of every single release date and where your, local card shops are getting their allocations and stuff like that. Like this stuff is selling out so fast and, everything else these days going on the secondary market for twice the price that, you would buy it from the store. So it's tough.
Yeah. That was a nice Gallade card.
That was. Let's we'll come up
The
on the screen here shortly.
the next set, Storm Emerald, which is going to be Delta Rain in English. It actually features a special illustration rare card for Gallade.
Okay.
Really,
And
really, really exciting.
so you've mentioned two things there that I want to learn about. One is the fact that there is a completely separate Japanese release of cards from the cards we see here in America, and two that well, let's just start there.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out in Japan first, right? And then we get something that's based off the set that gets released in Japan, but isn't that release. Is that correct?
I think
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure how to best describe the phenomenon. It does seem like when possible, like especially with the current like Mega Evolution series, right? It does seem like when possible, they just kind of like to do a one-to-one creation, right, for sets.
Okay.
But in the past, that wasn't always the case, right? And especially with how broken up the American products are, you do have sets that are rather incomplete, and then you have like special cards that become promos. Oh, nice special illustration rare. Let's go. Okay.
Woo!
Yeah.
Let's
Dragalge, let's
go,
go. Yes.
dude.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
That's a beaut, dude.
Yeah, it really is.
That's a
Yeah.
beaut. Very cool. Exciting. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, dude, we gotta take a pause for an SIR.
Yeah.
First box SIR, that's awesome.
Let's go.
Like,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so
but,
now why give them different names then, I guess, if they're generally trying to keep them one-to-one? What do you know what the reason is why they carry different names for the Japan release?
Historically speaking, it was because they weren't one-to-one. I guess maybe now that they just happen to be able to be more one-to-one, they were like, why should we just start, copy pasting the same names? We've historically always been, coming up with different names for English, right? So let's just continue doing that. That's probably my best guess.
Okay.
In the past, like, Scarlet Violet era and before that, there were actually a lot of sets that really weren't one-to-one when it comes to Japanese and English.
Okay.
I'm sure or have heard of at least Destined Rivals. It's like one of the extremely popular modern sets. That was the
that
last
the pack
series.
that you opened at the card show? Because I had Destined Rivals and I had Phantasmal Flames for people.
I did Phantasmal, but I do remember you had Destined Rivals. Yeah, Destined Rivals is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's actually a mix. It's a literal like one-to-one edition of two sets in Japanese. It's Clayburst and Glory of Team Rocket. No, sorry, it's Heatwave Arena and Glory of Team Rocket. And so they fused two Japanese sets. Yeah. When you get really into it, it becomes something that you want to research and stuff. But yeah, they have a tendency to do that. In the past, they were breaking up sets too, right? So like they might take half of one set and then infuse it with another Japanese set for an English set, and then keep that other half for later.
Okay.
They kind of ended up doing that with Ascended Heroes. Like the reason why the English Ascended Heroes is just so overloaded with like crazy cards is because there were a lot of special illustration rare cards from Japan that they didn't actually put in any set, and they just threw into their starter deck 100s. It was kind of a way for them to sell, literal like starter decks that you play with. Like, all the cards are exactly the same, except for one or two cards inside of the deck that could be an illustration rare, an EX card, or a special illustration rare. And that was the only way to get those cards.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, the Forest Pikachu was one of those cards. The Golden Mega Charizard Y from Ascended Heroes, the Feraligatr, Lily's Clefairy, Erica's Tangela, like a bunch of really, really nice art. Those were all from the starter decks. And so, when it came time to put them in an English set, they just threw them all into Ascended Heroes. And so that's why you have 22 special illustration rares in one set. And so it's just gigantic.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions during the stream, is during my research, realizing that there's releases like this that have 86 cards in them, and then there's releases that have well over 200.
Yeah.
I hear the example that you just gave in Ascended Heroes, but is there any rhyme or reason to what releases get a certain amount of cards? Why such a drastic difference from release to release?
I would say that it's, mostly, like, to be honest with you, probably just going to be at best speculation, no matter what you hear. But, a lot of people do, like, surmise and try to make educated guesses on why they do things a certain way, right? Like, some people were saying that Ascended Heroes was intentionally like just made to be gigantic and like fantastically like strong and therefore sought after, because they kind of knew that the sets coming afterwards would be a little bit weaker, right? No dig on Chaos Rising. I personally do like, and I think that the sales numbers speak for themselves. It is a better set. But
Okay.
like if you look at Perfect Order, the set before it, right?
Yeah.
That set, I'm gonna be honest, hopefully I don't upset anyone when I say this, but like I'm gonna be honest with you, like that set was an absolute disaster. Like the
Now
special
tell me
illustration
why.
rare chase. Well, the chase, like a lot of people say, you shouldn't bandwagon, you should just like the Pokemon you like. And, all the power to you, right? But the market doesn't, tend to agree with that
Right.
sentiment, right? The market
It
is
definitely
very,
doesn't
very
agree with
simple.
that.
Yeah, like if you want the general population, like non-Pokemon enjoyers, right, to get into the hobby, you
Right.
have to have featured Pokemon that everybody knows,
Right.
right? Like whether that's like the original 151 or maybe some Super Smash Ball characters, something in pop culture to get you in. Like if you don't have any of those characters, like your set is just going to sit on shelves, right?
Right.
And Perfect Order is a perfect example of that. Like the art is honestly not terrible. There are some pieces in there like the Clefairy that look really nice, but the special illustration rares they have are Zygarde, Meowth, Clefable, and to be honest with you, Rosa, right, which is a trainer character. She's I would say one of the more expensive cards in that set, if not like top three. And so like those are relatively less popular characters overall, which really make a set, in my opinion, a lot weaker, right? And so my theory was that they overloaded Ascended Heroes because they knew that like the coming sets aren't going to be as strong. We need something really to carry us into like Delta Rain and the 30th anniversary.
Okay.
Right. But it's all speculation.
Yeah.
They did do a pretty decent job with Chaos Rising. I would say if we're gonna like, without even having seen Delta Rain, I would say the order for Mega Evolution sets will probably look something like Ascended Heroes #1, Delta Rain will be 2, 3 will be Phantasmal Flames with the Charizard, and then 4 right there is Chaos Rising. Like Chaos Rising is not that far behind. It's probably on par with Phantasmal, and you can kind of see that they made a very similar design choice when it comes to setting up the set as Phantasmal, right? Like Phantasmal really only has Charizard as a star, right? Like if you ask a normal person to name one other card in Phantasmal, right? Like they might struggle because all they know is like that Charizard is like the chase, like it's the
Right.
highlight, it's carrying the
Right.
whole set.
Right.
And I think that Chaos Rising suffers a little bit from that too. But at least it has something, you know, like
Right.
Abyss Eye is going to be a little bit tougher because Darkrai isn't like super mainstream. It's one of my personal favorite legendaries, but you know, it's definitely not one of those mainstream like reasons why you go out and buy a set characters.
Okay. Now, for the Pokemon uneducated, you know, you mentioned the 151 set, and the number 151 is significant because, in my understanding, that refers to the original 151 Pokemon. And so,
Yes, sir, that's correct.
what, I guess, first of all, where was the delineation between what was original and what wasn't? Is that like the very first appearance of the Pokemon TV show? Where does the 151 come from?
It comes from a bunch of places, but mainly you can think of it as it's so the very first games that came out, like, you know, red, blue, green, yellow, right? Like the original Pokemon games, they all featured one region, the Kanto region, and that
Okay.
had the original 151 Pokemon. And so
Okay.
Pokemon, each game, right, and each new set of Pokemon, they come with their own game and a new region for you to explore.
Okay.
And so the Kanto region was the very first one, and that one had 151 Pokemon in it.
And so just say that again, because this was something that I learned is that, oh, we got another one of these.
Hey, there you go.
That the game is actually the thing that kind of sets the cadence of these releases.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
it's actually still like that.
Yeah.
Like Legends Z to A features all, you know, the new Mega Evolutions, right? And so they decided, yeah, we're gonna do a Mega Evolution card line, and people are speculating that Mega Evolution as an entire series is gonna end when Pokemon Winds and Waves comes out, right? They did that. That's generation number 10 for Pokemon, and that was announced earlier this year, I think in February.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's usually the case that a new, oh, nice, another special illustration rare. There you go.
Dude,
Wow, beautiful.
is that 2 for 2?
2 for
What?
2. That's that's 2
What
for
the
2.
hell is happening?
Dude, that's
Wow.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
sick. All right.
That's
Well,
big.
you're good luck now. So now you have to join us on every stream. I'm sorry. I'm going to take up, you know, several more hours of your time every single week.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no worries. This is fun.
Keep going. Keep going. So let me just give a little personal anecdote because, you know, I'm a little bit older and I was working at Target in the electronics department as a high schooler in the mid 90s. And I remember when the games first started coming out. And they were a big deal back then too. But it seems to me now that they're less of a deal. Is that true or no? The games themselves.
Um,
Do you know?
I
I don't know.
I think that's a bit of what is that? I'm not sure if confirmation bias is the right word I
Yeah.
want to use
That's
here,
me
but it
being out of
seems
touch.
yeah, I because like if you ask me, right, like I would probably draw the same conclusion, but that's because, you know, I'm turning 29 this year, and
Right.
like people around me, like we don't
Nobody's
really
playing
have
Pokemon
the
anymore.
kind
Yeah.
of the time to really invest into a game like that. But I
Right.
think that it's extremely strong still, you know, and prevalent in, you know, like you know, like younger, you know, children's circles and things like that. And certainly the, you know, like Nintendo's like sales numbers speak for themselves, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's harder to gauge that just based on what we are able to see,
Okay.
right? But you know, I think in general, Pokemon is still, you know, a very strong IP. It's currently still the largest IP on the planet, right?
I would believe it, but I mean that you say
Yeah.
that as fact, like that's definitely the case.
Yeah, I
Wow,
like
that's
researched this
wild.
before. I can find it like top 10. That's my
Holy
top
moly.
10 intellectual.
And as you research that, in my brief research experience, I've come across the You know, the super high dollar original cards, you know, here and there that people chase after, and you know, whatever the one that Logan Paul was, you know,
Oh yeah.
known for having, and this and that, and multiple times I came across the Wizards of the Coast.
Yes.
What does that refer to? Teach me about what that means.
Wizards of the Coast, like also known as WotC, they're I believe they are like either a distributor or like the people who act like the printing like company, like somewhere in like the chain of like, you know, creating the Pokemon products. And it was a lot of people really liked them. Like Wizards of the Coast, they actually have like almost a cult following because, like, you know, they still do TCGs, right?
Oh,
A lot
really?
of people are huge fans of WotC. I'm not
Interesting.
sure what they currently do right now. Is it Magic?
Were they originally Magic, or they took over Magic?
Um, I'm actually not sure. Oh yeah, they are. They currently focus on expanding their premier franchises, Magic the Gathering and
Oh,
Dungeons and Dragons, while developing.
oh,
Okay, so it's a major publisher of tabletop and digital games. There you go.
interesting.
Yeah, Wizards
Okay,
of the Coast. Yeah, and so they handled Pokemon for a long time. Like the original sets, you know, a lot of them were theirs, if not all of them. And
okay.
yeah, people were huge fans of, you know, like those products. And so when you hear Wizards of the Coast, they're usually talking about like the earliest stuff.
Right, right. And real quick, let me shout out Kev in the chat. I see you, Kev. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, I, you know, to your point about a lot of adults obsessed with Pokemon Go, I had a doc that I worked with at the hospital who was 100% obsessed when it was big several years ago, and he would go out with his kids, and they'd just be, you know, wandering aimlessly with their phones, looking like this, looking for Pokemon Go stuff. So I can. I have a teenage expert who says the artists create cards according to the Pokemon they like. Oh,
Oh,
is
very
that your
cool.
understanding, Jeff? Do
I
these
actually didn't know
illustrators
that, but
have preferences?
yeah, now that I think about it, it would absolutely make sense that the illustrators would get to like kind of pick what they want to make.
Ah,
Right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
makes complete sense,
that
actually.
makes
That's
sense.
brilliant. I hadn't thought about that before. Um, I know that Shinji Kanda is like he is a very like groundbreaking artist because he was the one who really kind of broke the mold for like grail cards and chase cards, right? And he said, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna make one that you're all gonna love and, you know, chase after, but I'm gonna do it for like the most basic Pokemon ever. Like he drew that Magikarp, right, like on the waterfall, that's like super sparkly and everything.
Uh
And
huh.
that card in English in a PSA 10, I think is like $4,500 right now or something. Yeah, and it's a Magikarp. You know what I mean? Before that card, like pretty much every single Grail or Chase card of a
Oh,
set.
this
Ooh,
was the
nice.
one I
There
wanted
you
to
go.
pull, dude.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
not gonna
Xerneas is beautiful.
I'm
I
not
wonder
gonna
who
lie.
made that
Like
one.
I was looking at the chase cards, and this is just gorgeous. This card, I love this card, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that
know
one's nice.
it's not super expensive, but
It's up
it
there. It's for like in within the set. It's definitely, you know, like, you know, obviously other than the special illustration rares, it's up there.
yeah, this is one of those ones where like I'd like to have an opinion that might, you know, go against the grain a little bit. I would prefer to have that card over some of the other ones.
Mhm.
But the I forgot what I was gonna say now. What were you talking about? Bring me back to.
I'm not gonna lie,
I lost
I
my train of
forgot a
thought.
little
Yeah.
too.
Okay. That's good. That
No,
gives us a chance to pivot. So,
yeah.
I do remember that I wanted to ask about this 30th anniversary thing coming up, and
Mm.
you have been using a term to refer to it that I have not come across yet. It has a name? Is that because all I've ever seen is it's the 30th anniversary release, but you seem to be referring to it by name.
Oh, I think you might be referring to like Deltarune. Was that what I was
Yeah.
saying earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Rayquaza set in English. Sorry, that's different from the
Oh.
30th anniversary. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So,
Yeah, 30th anniversary is still like officially 30th anniversary.
got you. And so what's the difference, or like not difference, the cadence between the two, I guess. Like
Um,
because the 30th anniversary is coming up. That's
yeah, that one's
the
coming up.
release
30th
after Pitch
anniversary.
Black. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that one's coming out like mid-September, early to
Right.
mid-September, right
Right.
around Labor Day or a week after-ish.
And then what's the one you're referring to? Delta
Delta
Rain?
Rain, that'll be normally when like elections happen, I think like early November, second or third.
You say normally like this is a recurring thing?
Relatively like recurring. Like most of the time when they release a set like for the end of the year, it's either been like on Thanksgiving for like the Japanese stuff, or for English it'd be around like very close to Halloween, that area.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's usually the last set of the year?
Yeah, last set of the year.
Okay. Do they tend to make that one special in some kind of way, or it just that's the time that they release it, and then usually they wait until the new year to release the next one?
I think it depends on the cycle that you're currently like on. And so what I mean by that is if you're coming toward the end of like a series, right? Or you're at a point in the series that you can release a special set, like they tend to do that. But then it's not always guaranteed. So I'll give you an example. Last year Mega Dream came out, right, which was Japanese Ascended Heroes, and that
Okay.
was right on Thanksgiving. But it doesn't track that it would always be a special set, because this year's is a Lucario set, like featuring Mega Lucario, and
Uh-huh.
I believe it's a normal set. Like it's not a specialty one. But that also might have been the case because maybe it was, thrown off schedule because the 30th anniversary is coming out in September, right?
Okay.
And so they didn't want too many premium products together. There's probably something along those lines going on. But it's very intentional. Ooh, there you go.
Dude, let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
full art ultra rare Greninja.
We're getting closer.
Yes, sir. We're
We're
getting
getting
close,
closer.
man. Yeah. Sometimes I'll call a full art card SR, and that's because in Japanese they're denoted as SR, so super rare.
Oh.
Yeah,
Now
and so
why do you know why the difference?
they just have different rarity like denotations. Like they call a special illustration, like we call them SIRs, right?
Right.
They call them SARs, so special art rare.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then illustration rare is IR for us, but for them they call it AR, and so it's art rare.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then but they also have the new mega hyper rares. Do they call those mega hyper rares?
Yes, they call them mega ultra rares, MUR.
Mega ultra rares. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. So tell me about your collection. What just riff on what makes Jeff happy in the world of Pokemon.
I'll be honest with you, it's just that Charizard from Phantasmal Flames. I
That's it.
have,
That's all you
yeah,
need,
at
and you
the
can be
at the
happy.
peak of my collection, I had 7 of them in Japanese and a PSA 10,
What?
and yeah, and one English one. But I've sold off like half of that, and
Oh my gosh.
just
Oh,
kind of wanted to like reposition. Ooh, nice
let's
illustration
go.
rare Watchog.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Look at
and,
that. I
and so
have those.
I do vend on the weekends. I think yeah, definitely the first time we met was at a card show, right? And so I was
Yeah.
vending there. Yeah, so like vending is a big hobby of mine, and so I do like to have some kind of some amount of liquidity just to be able to buy stuff that I like. And so while I do love that card, it was pointed out to me by several people that having 7 may not be very smart, and so I was like, okay, fine. I'll liquidate like some of them, and to be honest with you, it doesn't even feel like that bad because I still have like 6 total copies, and so it's fine.
Holy smokes, dude. Wow. Now, how did you come by all of them? You just found them individually? Did you pull any of them?
Yeah, so they were mostly pulled.
Really?
Yeah, and then
Good
sent off
God,
to
man.
grading, and then they came back very recently. Actually, I submitted more than half of them on January 29th of this year, and
Uh-huh.
they came back like June 3rd.
Oh my
Like it's
God.
ridiculous.
All
Yeah.
right, so now you're gonna get me started. I can't not talk about the grading thing because this is another thing that is
Yeah.
a very new development in the hobby since I was familiar with it two plus decades ago. But before I, riff, what are your feelings about grading in general, about the state of the grading industry? You know, clearly you grade cards, so
Mhm.
you're not opposed to it in the sense that you won't grade them yourself. Do you like the idea of grading? Do you think it's being done consistently across companies? You got to tell me. You got to tell me because this is just wild to me.
Well, it's really interesting because to be honest with you, for the longest time, I didn't want to grade any of my cards because I much like, way more how they look, when you can like pull them out of a sleeve and like look at them. Like you saw earlier, you were like looking at the hydrology special illustration where you pulled, right? Like
Right.
you can't do that if it's encased behind, some kind of combination of plastic and glass,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
it does feel a little bit more soulless like that. And so for a while, I wasn't too crazy about grading cards, but I also do understand the utility behind it, and it's also quite foolish, I think, to like fight against the market, right? And so
For
like if
sure. For
everyone's
sure.
trending in that direction, and that just becomes the like the best method of um, you know validating and verifying the like the authenticity of cards that you're buying, then it's kind of something that I would say is inevitable, right?
Sure.
And
Definitely.
when I say utility earlier, like it really was the case that if you went back like 15 years ago, before people were grading Pokemon cards with PSA, like you just had to like be experienced and know that the card that you were looking at was a real card or a fake card, right? And if you
Right.
didn't know, right, you were, you just kind of getting like fleeced potentially, right? And like that feels awful. And so PSA steps in and says, "Hey, we will authenticate the card for you, make sure that it's real, and you just need to focus on determining a value for it, right?" Like that, I think removing a concern from the market, I think definitely had real value.
Mm-hmm.
But these days it's becoming quite difficult to to justify grading because PSA currently has, I think now it's a 12 million card backlog.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They
at one
paused
point
the
it was
value submissions.
yeah, they probably like it's just crazy how many people are using PSA. And I actually have some opinions on that, but maybe when we get there, in the conversation we can talk about that. Yeah.
So I completely agree that it would be pointless to fight against the prospect and the idea of grading, and it definitely has a definitive utility, right?
Mhm.
And what kills me is, I mean, I don't know how. Do you know approximately how long the different grading companies have been around?
Ooh, that I actually really don't. I know Tag is very new, and I know PSA has been around since like the 70s or 80s.
Have they
And
really?
I think yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
I remember reading an article about it. They were talking about how PSA at first, I think, it wasn't even called PSA at the time, but they basically were authenticating coins,
Oh
like rare United States and like
yeah.
European like historic coins. That's where they first, got
Interesting.
into the business of authentication, and then they stepped in to do sports, and
Okay.
so that's the story I remember reading at least. And that's very cool, and I think that they're definitely one of the oldest ones. I'm not sure if Beckett is older, and then I'm honestly not sure where CGC like gets inserted into that line of timeline.
And so you correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is CGC is largely known for their TCG prowess over the others. Is that true or no? I mean, obviously PSA has become the default like value store, for lack
Hmm.
of a better
Yeah.
word. Ooh.
Are you
But
talking about currently, like today?
no, like historically,
Oh,
CGC has had their foothold in this in the TCG community more so than the others.
to be honest, I'm not quite sure if you're talking about TCG as a whole, but if you're talking about Pokemon, I would definitely say that um, they did. I wouldn't agree that they had like like a majority stake in the grading ecosystem for when it comes to Pokemon. I'm not too sure about other TCGs, but I think that before, GameStop Power Packs and what PSA is currently doing, it was a much more even playing field. Still slightly PSA favored, right, between all of the different grading companies, but not as lopsided as it is today.
Okay, got you. Um, I guess my number one concern, I don't know if concern is the right word, but like what frustrates me the most is the lack of consistency, not only within a company but then across all of the companies. And how is it we've been doing this for so long, and we can't come to a mutual understanding about what a 10 is and what it's wild to me. My very brief experience with actually grading my own cards was I put together a set of 20 Michael Jordan cards, that I had that I thought had the best chance of grading well, and I got them back, and as you might expect, being completely ignorant as to what is really truly considered in terms of grading, I would have probably not sent 75% of them. I got 110. I got a handful of 9s and 8s, and then I got a couple like 6s and 7s and things like that. But what I can tell you definitively is things that were graded like a 9 were definitely not a 9, and then things that were graded a 7 were definitely not a 7.
Yeah.
And that seems to just be kind of like the par for the course. I don't know what your experience is, but do you find it to be frustrating in terms of that lack of consistency within companies or across companies?
I think, how do I it's definitely something that has, like a concern that has really been on my mind, because like I've submitted a ton of cards myself, right? And
Right.
that's always something scary. You always hear the horror stories. Well, and especially if you consider like just not only the current horizon, but if you stretch it out, like, by looking like back, right, throughout the entire timeline, you start to see that the inconsistency gets even worse because even
Mm,
between like the companies themselves, they like tighten or loosen up their requirements, right? Um, and I think that like, it can be extremely frustrating, but one thing that has really helped me understand like why they make the decisions that they do, like for every company, not just PSA, is that like fundamentally at the end of the day they are trying to run a business, right? Like it
mm,
sucks to say it, and I'm not accusing them of anything, right? None of the companies, but it's like if you and I were PSA or a grading company, and we wanted people to come and grade with us, right? It would track that you might want to be not, I wouldn't say lenient, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying, right? Like you're
yeah,
trying to get customers, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then over time, right? Like what like if we just follow this hypothesis, like you might end up with a lot of cards that are in lower quality, right? In terms of like the grade that they get, like your 10 might not be as valuable as PSA or Beckett's 10 or something like that, right?
Right.
And that'll like you know that'll drive the market in a certain direction. And so like all the time, like these companies are trying to pivot and they're trying to do better, right? But you just do have to understand that they are running a business at the end of the day. They do need to worry about their bottom line, right?
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
100%. And I want to be able to have the ability to separate my really nice card, super rare, really nice, whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
the same card that somebody else has. If mine's in better condition, I should have a definitive way to say that. Like that makes
Yeah.
sense to me, But
Yeah, the other thing to consider is also that like, the people who, like actually grade your card, like who are in the factories and warehouses, like they're human too, you know what I mean? Like
yep,
a
yep,
lot of
yep.
times like people make mistakes, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a card gets a grade that it doesn't deserve, right? And that's just how it is. Like if you do side by side comparisons for like pretty much any card in any TCG, I guarantee you'll find if you have two tens right beside each other, one you'll be like, how did this get a 10? And then
Yeah.
the other one is like, or even if you don't do like two tens, you can do a 10 and a 9, right? And you can say, wow, this 9 deserved a 10, and this 10 it like definitely is not a 10. Like it happens all the time.
For sure.
right?
And
Yeah.
that's something that I wanted to pick your brain about because, I've definitely spent a little time learning what separates or what I guess criteria and
Mhm.
whatever separate a good grade from a bad grade in terms of sports cards. And then as, you understand it more and you start analyzing cards in that perspective and not just pulling and like, oh, that's a good card and that's not a good card, but like, this is a good card, but would it actually grade well?
Mhm.
The degree of inconsistency in the manufacturer's quality from, not only year to year, but release to release within the same year has
Mhm.
been really interesting to find. I've had, numbered to 35 cards that come out of the pack with just these massive lines across the front of the card, from the
Yeah.
printing press or whatever, I'm sure there's a term for that.
Or
I don't
like
know what.
ink blotches on them.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
mean, and that's really frustrating, obviously. And again, that's I guess to be expected to a degree. Ideally, that you would hope they have some quality assurance processes to avoid it. But what I have found is that it just might be my ignorance, but these Pokemon cards and TCGs in general seem to come out of the pack much more consistent and much more like a higher potential for grading well. Is that just my, inexperience talking,
Mm.
or is there anything to that?
Yeah, I would say maybe go through a couple cases, a couple of live
Okay.
streams, and let
Okay.
me know because like there are some pretty bad like miscuts, like that's like super off-centered cards. You'll probably see a couple. Like I've seen some pretty egregious ones where like you literally like the worst one I ever saw was the like the HP, like line that you see at the very top of the card, like that was like in the middle, and then you see the art of another card above it. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and there are people who collect like miscuts, misprints, things like that. Like
Oh,
they,
I'm sure.
it's
I'm
a
sure.
it's a very vibrant market, and the grading companies, they will also actively like grade those cards, and so the most insane error card I've seen that I'm pretty sure you can still Google right now is it's a CGC 10 Gem Mint Gengar from Ascended Heroes special illustration rare, and
Okay.
basically the like someone posted, I think it's the same person. He got a God pack from Ascended Heroes, but the entire God pack was error printed. Like it was basically missing
Oh
the
no.
yellow green hues on the cards, and so
No.
yeah, every single card was like, it was like basically being colorblind. They were all blue, red, and purple, like all the
Oh,
entire artwork. So if you imagine a
that would
Gengar
be
now, it's missing the
infuriating.
green yellow and it's like blue and dark purple. It looks absolutely sick. And
Wow.
so those kinds of like really cool errors, they do happen.
Wow. Oh, so it's actually a good error though.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. I thought you
like
were saying
I
that it
think
was
that
like,
errors are very collectible in general, and then there are some that
oh,
really explode the value. I think people were estimating that Gengar would be worth like close to six digits at the time.
what?
Yeah, it's a Gemmint 10 error card, and it looks sick.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Because like I'm
I'll
on
try to
the
find the photo for you later.
that would be very cool because I'm on the Reddit,
Yeah.
boards every now and then for all the different types of cards, and you get multiple posts a day from people pulling the error sports cards and asking is this worth anything, and people get really frustrated because like the error cards in sports just don't mean anything anymore. It used to be back in the day that the error cards in sports were somewhat desired and stuff like that, but my impression now is that they happen so often now that they can't even really be considered special anymore.
Oh, I see.
But I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe that's my misunderstanding. I do have to say, unfortunately, Belgium has scored within the first 12 minutes of the game. So
Yeah, you
that's
might notice that I'm like turning my head a little. I have
yeah,
it on the TV. I'm watching it. Oh my God, what are we doing,
that's
guys?
brutal. That's brutal. You didn't see what happened, did you?
I did not see what happened. That's all right. I'll watch the replay later.
Yeah. And let me just look. Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a sweet
I
one.
was calling it the Eiffel Tower on stream when I was ripping not Ascent, Chaos Rising.
That's a
Yeah.
cool one. Um, so you seem to be just kind of like oh boy, resigned to the inevitability of it and just like, if you can't fight them, join them. It is what it is, and just learn the ins and outs and don't get took. Kind of like the rest of the hobby, basically.
Yeah, I would say so. I also, try to approach, things in general with like a more glass half full kind of perspective,
I
right?
love it.
Like,
I love it.
it's not like there's some evil entity who's just out here to squeeze everyone for money, right? Like there is a real value, or at least okay, maybe I shouldn't jump the gun, but you know, like they didn't start out that way, right?
Right.
Like nowadays, not so sure anymore, but like they started out with a very real, providing a very real value and like need to the hobby, to the space.
10-4. 10-4. I respect it. Um, let's see here. I need some water because I am parched. This ripping thing is no joke, dude.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you got to sit here for hours. How long were you on your streams at a time when you were doing it?
Toward the end, ooh, nice, another Greninja.
Yeah.
That's good omen.
Yeah.
Um,
Come on.
yeah, toward the end, they were a bit more sparse, maybe 2 to 4 hours. But at the beginning, especially during the Christmas, New Year's, like time, I was doing like easily 6 to 10 hour streams.
Oh
I think
my God.
I
Are
capped
you
one at
kidding me?
12 or 13. Yeah,
How? How?
it
I
was it
guess I
was
don't
just
understand.
fun.
But that
Yeah,
takes a
I
lot of
enjoyed it.
product. I mean,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
we were mostly focusing on Japanese product, right? English is like it's really, really hard to get. But we would do Japanese product. There were like set
Wait,
hit rates.
English is hard to get, but Japanese is not?
Well, if you like, like my business partner at the time, he like, had pretty good connections in
Oh,
Japan,
okay.
right? And
Okay.
so it was significantly easier for us and more affordable to get Japanese products. The margins
Interesting.
were about the same, right? But Japanese products were very much like, better like controlled, right? Like you're guaranteed certain hits out of boxes. And
Really?
so yes. So out of Japanese or Japan has like a lot of laws when it comes to like gambling and stuff like that, right? And so the hit rates for everything need to be like revealed. You need to know what you're
Really?
buying into. Yep, all that stuff. Consumer protection. But in America, we're just like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
let's go
whatever.
gamble, bro. Like,
It's
so
true. It's true. Well, it
yeah.
sounds like I need to move to Japan, man. That would be awesome to have the actual real live hit rates that you can trust just printed on the box.
Yeah, the problem with Japan is that it's very much like it is in the US. I heard that it's even worse. They do like a lottery system for you to be able to purchase products at MSRP. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, it's basically like nothing is on the shelves. Like
Oh,
we think that it's
really?
bad over here with Target and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's like MSRP. I'll give you an example of for a booster box in Japan after taxes, I think it's like under $45. But after it reaches the US markets, like the actual market price,
Right.
these things go for like 120, $130 easily.
Wow.
And so like just imagine how unaffordable it is for like people in Japan, right? Like
Right.
$45 US here, right, is
Right.
not significantly more than in Japan, but it is more than what we would spend $45 on, right? Like that's probably the equivalent of like spending $100 to $150 for us, right, for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so imagine tripling that. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. The hobby is crazy expensive. I
Yeah, all across the board. And
all across
so,
the board.
yeah, it's scary. You can't, like, the people were complaining, like, Japanese citizens can't get their products on, like, on Pokemon, or they can't get their hands on Pokemon products.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you collect anything besides Pokemon or no?
No, nothing, like as seriously as I do Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a very big Star Wars fan, but I've never really got into like collecting, figurines or things like that.
Okay. But cards, Star Wars cards or no?
No, I've heard that they kind of are on a rise though. I also recently got into like Naruto cards, but like nothing too serious. It's more of like a, hey, I see it on the shelves. Let's open some Naruto cards.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, my son has started getting into One Piece cards because he was
Oh, nice.
big into anime and manga, and has been through a bunch of ones, but has now come into One Piece, and it was fortuitous that it happened to be at the same time while I was building this company, and so we've been learning One Piece together.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a very cool set, or I guess game.
Yeah,
We've
TCG.
we've ripped multiple sets, and very a very different style, obviously, than the Pokemon, but very cool in its own right. So, on the
Definitely.
topic of TCGs in general, but then how the game itself tends to impact the cards that are popular. Help me. My son and I played a few years ago when he was into Pokemon, and then it didn't really stick very much.
Hmm.
So I've played a couple, less than 5 games of actual Pokemon, but
Yeah.
relate it to the value of the cards for me in terms of the cards that would get a positive impact from their strength in the game.
From what I've noticed, it tends to be pretty minimal. But I'm not gonna say or pretend that it doesn't happen, right? I can actually think of a lot of concrete examples of cards that like really would catch you by surprise when it comes to their value. But unfortunately, that's mostly like the bulk stuff. Um,
Okay.
the player interest, from what I can, from what I've seen, like doesn't have the strength to really carry like entire sets. And so I can give you a perfect example. Actually, it came out recently. Perfect Order actually was very well, very widely regarded as like a very strong set in terms of like the cards for the TCG itself. A lot of
Okay.
the cards are broken, like just really, really overpowered and good.
Really?
Yes, and
But
you
that
know,
didn't seem to translate into a popularity in the set itself, then, I guess, because you.
yeah, it did
Yeah.
not. However, the singles market kind of did a reaction. So there is a full art ultra rare Pokepad card. It looks like a Pokédex, basically like kind of like a Nintendo Switch. Yeah, and
Oh.
it's like a full art
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That card, I mean, if you look at other cards, of the kind, right, you might think it'd be worth like $1 to $2, but that thing would like start off it's selling on eBay at like 30 something, 40 something bucks, and I think it's currently still sitting between 16 and like $20, which is a
Wow.
lot for a trainer
Right.
card that doesn't feature like a person. It's an item card, right? But
Right.
it doesn't feature a Pokemon or a person, right? And it's just a Nintendo Switch on a like on a card.
Right.
And so like that was purely driven by people who enjoy the TCG. And
Okay.
for other cards that are like of the like that are very, very strong in the TCG, but like more in the affordable, $1 to $10 bracket, they do pop up like Pheasantipity, the bird Pokemon, Pheasantipity EX, like just the common EX double rare card that was selling for at the time when I was selling a few of them. I think they were going for like $5 to $7. They might be between 3 and 4 right now,
Okay.
right? But Pheasantipity is actually very well known to be like super overpowered as a character.
Okay.
It has a very strong, I forgot what it is, like like not the attack, but it's like the ability of the card is like really, really up there. And so because of that, a lot of people like to use Serendipity in their decks, and they'll go out and buy an EX card. Like most people won't play the TCG with SIRs or like the gold and ultra rares, right? But they
Right.
will
Right.
go out and buy EX cards to go play with, and so it
Okay.
does happen.
Okay.
And especially when you're sorting out bulk, you'll be surprised how often you bump into cards, as commons, right, that are worth $1 or $2 just because they're playable. So there's definitely some kind of market, reaction to sets that are more playable and more impactful for the TCG. But unfortunately, when you're looking at like collectability and like value of the card, it's not. I don't think it's strong enough of a reason for things to like actually explode in price the way that we're used to.
Okay. Do do other factors, what other factors besides just, the illustration quality and rarity of, an illustration rare versus, special illustration rare and things like that, but are there any other factors that you might not know about as an amateur that play into, card value? Because to me,
I
it
don't
seems like
think.
those are the two big ones. The one being much less significant than the other. But is there anything else that people consider? The one thing that I seemed to remember coming across on occasion is that maybe the female trainers are sometimes more desired.
Oh,
Is there any and maybe specifically in Japan, is there any truth to that? Do you know?
I think there definitely is some truth to that. But there isn't. I wouldn't call that like something stable enough to be like a rule in and of itself. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Because there are
Yeah.
plenty of examples of like like that disprove it enough so that it probably isn't like a staple rule. I think everything that really drives the value of like sets and cards, I think we mostly touched up on. It's like
Okay.
just how difficult is the card to pull, right? How nice is the artwork, and what kind of Pokemon is featured on the artwork, right? Like as much as people don't like to admit that, and they like to say all Pokemon are like is every single Pokemon is like loved, is someone's favorite, is loved by someone, and that's absolutely true. But like the volume of a Pokemon's popularity, unfortunately, like definitely has a huge impact on like perceived strength, if nothing else, right, of a set and the card.
Okay. Here we go. I don't think we got this one yet, have we?
Sliggoo, I'm
Do
not.
we?
I think we may have seen
Maybe.
one. Maybe. Yeah.
When I was looking at well, so here's one question I did want to ask you. So, in my searching across the internet for information,
Mhm.
I've come across tcgplayer.com, and that kind of seems to be the most definitive source for someone looking to like not only find value, a market prediction for the value of any given card, but then also they seem to have a pretty consistent outflow of articles and things of that nature. Now, granted, some of it seems very clickbaity, but are there other like main sources of Pokemon learning and or like community that people that are looking to get into the hobby should be aware of if they want to be either educated and or interact with other people in Pokemon?
I would say that if you're specifically trying to get into Pokemon and understand sets better, when I was in Atlanta, the weekend that we met, actually, I became very good friends with a gentleman named Jay, and he was, expressing interest in getting into this with his children because he said his oldest son like knows Pokemon, right, and they like it, and they just don't know where to start with the TCG because clearly it's very lucrative and it's also a lot of fun, right?
Right,
Great bonding experience. And
right.
so my advice for him was to like, other than to give him like the resources we were talking about, I was explaining that like, just going on YouTube and trying to digest like specifically Pokemon TCG content is pretty important, right? Just like looking at the cards, like packs that are being opened, trying to understand which cards come from what packs, right? And then once you get a couple names of like Pokemon, like cards that you like, find what sets they come out of, and then go on to TCG Player is great. I also use price charting. I actually like price charting. When I'm like lazy and just need a general idea of like what like the value kind of floats around, I'll go look at price charting. But I
Okay,
would never use it for like actual comping of like card values. Like there's
okay,
just much more accurate stuff out there. But it is a great like library. Like for every set, it's got all the cards. It's got like general prices, and they're not off by too much. Like maybe 5 to 10%. But like obviously 5 to 10% when you're trying to make a transaction happen is a big deal, right?
for sure.
So um, yeah, that's something to look out for. But yeah, I use price charting for that. TCG Player is great. And then I like to go onto subreddits, that's like Poke Investing. There's like a bunch of them. And I
Right.
just like press join on all of them. And then I would just go and look at like every single post. They just show up in the feed. And that was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
Reddit has
I would
been very
say
informative to me, at least.
yeah, and then if you're really trying to get into buying and selling and you really want to understand prices of stuff, other than the view more data section for like a card on TCG Player, you can go to eBay, right? Like last sold, completed sales, and stuff like that
Right.
for a card, and that'll tell you exactly what they're like the live sales are going for.
Okay.
And so, there's a lot of data out there, but that would probably be your best way to start. But I think it's very hard to, tell someone to just go look at data, right? Like that can get boring,
Oh yeah.
especially when you don't know what sets to even look out for. I think it's easier and much more digestible to say, all right, go on YouTube, right? And like just find, a couple of videos of pack, openings with good thumbnails that like actually like basically do their job well and get you to click on them.
Okay.
Just pick anything and then go from there and try to expand, try to learn.
Got you. And when you said you like Price Checker, but you wouldn't use it for comps, were you saying that because you would default to using like eBay last sold for comps, or do you use
um
some other combination of things for comps?
yeah, so price charting is like it's a great like database that has everything, and it's very like the interface is very, very usable. Like once you
Yeah.
go to like a if you just type on in Google Chaos Rising card list, price charting is one of the first ones that come up, and it
Yeah.
will literally show you every single card in kind of like a CSV format, right? With
We
the
got another
image,
one.
and so it's extremely. Oh, nice, Zernies, another Zernies. There you go. Yeah, so it's very, very usable. The only problem is that the the values for the cards and like the way that it updates transactions, they don't seem to be like updated as frequently. And
Oh,
so
okay.
if you click on it and it says a card is worth $315 and you click on it for more data, you're going to see like 300, 353, 275. I'm just reading off the chart that I see, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm not quite sure how they got to this number, but it might not be entirely accurate. And so it's
Right.
more important to go and check multiple sources that have all the up to
Oh,
date.
did we get one? We got one. Are you behind me? I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you on the soccer game.
Oh, we got a goal. Nice.
Sorry.
I,
My wife started going nuts behind me, and
I heard that too. I heard her. That's
all
awesome.
right,
Sorry.
Nice.
there
Okay,
we
okay,
go.
we're tied.
All right, all right. Are you a soccer fan in general?
Now I am. This World Cup was
Yeah, dude,
amazing. Like
dude,
Cape Verde, like just
that
wow,
was
what a
so
team.
that was so fun. I mean, I
Yeah,
even
like
the game last night, the Norway,
yes.
uh,
I watched that one.
yeah, who
Yeah.
were they playing?
Norway versus Brazil.
Yes, yes, that was so
Yeah.
fun. I mean, it's wild to me how we have just been able to maintain this like complete insulation here in the States from the rest of the world in terms of our enthusiasm about soccer, because obviously, it's just football. I'm sorry. It's, it means the world to everybody but us, but like I can
Yeah.
see why when it comes here and you see just the environment and the enthusiasm, like it's infectious, dude. It's wild.
It really is. And I was saying that, like after looking at the numbers, like it really does make sense that the World Cup in soccer is like just the biggest sport, in the world because like if you go back like 3 to 5 thousand years, like it's very, very unlikely that any game you know, we would have shared any sport with our ancestors other than soccer. You know what I mean? Like you just kick a
Interesting. Yeah.
ball around into a box,
Right.
right? Yeah, like it probably is the closest thing to an actual sport that our ancestors played
For
across the
sure.
globe.
For sure.
And
I
so I
would be
feel like
interested
just
to know the history of that.
yeah, absolutely. I think that has, that rightfully, it is like the number one sport in the world because of that. So that's cool.
pretty sure we just jinxed them by getting excited because
Wait, they made another one? What? Dude, oh my god.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah,
And listen, we knew going into this that this was going to be a marathon session, and I want to, first of all, I want to thank you for your time, but also I want you to not feel obligated that you have to sit here with me because we've only been through 4 boxes so far. But I am greatly enjoying our conversation, and
yeah,
this has
yeah.
been super duper informative. I did, just when I say, you can jet whenever you want, but hang around because I want to ask you about your card show experiences. Number one, I met you in a card show in Georgia and you live in California, and like that's a long way to travel. Do you do that often? Or do you do that
No,
often, I should say?
that was actually the first time I had ever done that. Yeah, it was more of an impromptu thing,
Okay.
and I'm very glad that I ended up doing it. It was a lot of fun, and
Had
um,
you had you been to a bunch of shows before that, or
a bunch of shows, yes, but they were like all in California. Like we
okay?
haven't, I hadn't ever like traveled that far out of the state before, just for a
Okay.
card show. And so it was
And
fun. It was very productive. Met a lot of very nice people, and honestly, I was thinking about it too. I'm like, I can't wait to go back. Like it's
yeah,
Atlanta was a wonderful place. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it kind of shocked me just how big the portions were for like the food. Like me and my friends were talking about that. Like not even because like they're big, right? It's just more that like in California, if you want that much, like it would cost like double the amount of money that it does
right,
in like Atlanta. It
right.
was like a steak platter we had like with seafood, and it was I was like legitimately shocked at how much food they gave us for just like 30 something dollars. And I was like, I love this place. I love
Yeah,
Atlanta. Like you could sell this. I was telling my friends who like took us out to eat. I'm like, bro, you could sell this plate of food in the state of California for like $80. Like there's no way I
yeah.
just got this thing for like $35.
Talk about a side hustle. There you go. That's that.
Yeah, it's
Figure out a way to transport food instantaneously across the
yeah,
states,
we're
and
gonna
you've
do
got
food
yourself.
arbitrage from now
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
that's
Yeah, like but that
hilarious.
that was that was eye-opening. Like, just like the not that the cost of living is like much lower there or anything, mind you, but it's just like,
Oh, it
just to
is.
see the
Yeah,
quality difference was huge.
interesting.
Whatever they can charge you for in California, they will. It's
Oh, for
like
sure. I bet. Are you from the state originally, or?
I grew up in New Jersey and
Oh,
then
really?
moved to California when I was 15, yeah.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
so, I've been here ever since, and it's amazing.
Dude, I really hope that either I can afford to retire on the West Coast, or at the very least, once my kids grow up and we can take some more regular vacations or whatever, getting to the West Coast. I've been there very few times, and I want to go a lot more because when I have been, it's just been absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is like I miss the seasons of the East Coast. Like that's a big part of it. Yeah, like being able to see like fall, spring, summer,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
over here it's just always summer.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
so
say, listen to this guy. We feel so bad for you. You get 70, 75, and sunny all year, for 365.
yeah, it's just, I had a lot of fun going back to, like the East Coast just for that weekend. Like it really did feel like, oh wow, I'm in the East Coast.
Yeah. Was it something particular about that show, or was it just happened to be going on when you were
I
going
think
this way?
we just picked that show and we were like, yeah, this is the one we want to go to. And
Gotcha. Cool.
yeah, it was pretty great.
So that being my first show, I don't really know
Oh,
how
nice.
it compares to others. And for somebody who's never been to a card show before, maybe you can shed some light on like what, like, okay, so if you had to estimate like a total, foot traffic kind of estimation of that show versus like your regular show, and not that the listener would really understand, but like, was that average, above average, below average? Like, because I have no frame of reference in terms of like, because on Saturday it felt very busy to me.
Mhm.
Like there were a lot of people there. Is that typical, or in your experience?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
You probably won't even remember.
No, the card show you and I went to was probably the smallest card
Oh,
show that I've personally been to. Yeah, like, yeah, I think
see,
it's just due
yeah.
to the sheer number of people in California, right? Like, especially like
Oh,
Los Angeles, Southern California. Like
oh,
every single card show is packed like the whole
really?
way through. Yeah, especially the big ones, like the if you go to like Front Row Card Show, right? Like the big named ones that
Yeah.
are like constantly moving around, right? Like they have like insane volume. Like we're
Okay.
talking like easily 10 to 20,000 people a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my
easily.
God.
Yeah,
That's
huge.
massive. That's wild. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
this is just
those are the kinds of like events that have like 500 to 1,000 tables, and so I think the if I had to estimate, I'd probably say that the show we went to probably had like between 150 and 200 tables.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be more than double the size.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but it was nice being at a smaller, like it wasn't necessarily slower. You know what I mean? Like when it was busy,
Okay.
and so that was a lot of fun. But it definitely was smaller by comparison, and I think that like it's pretty nice because I did get to know a lot of people. Like just like my neighbor vendors and stuff,
Yeah.
and we got along. We were like hanging out and talking. That was a lot of fun.
Very cool. And I was taken aback by, and honestly, I'm not really sure what I expected, but like, there wasn't a whole lot outside of like the singles selling, like both the buying and the selling side of things. Like everyone seemed to be there for singles. Is that typical for most card shows, or is there, the bigger card shows, is there more, you know,
Mm.
sealed product sales or um,
I'm
I
glad that
guess.
you're asking this, actually. This is a phenomenon that's been really concerning me as well, and I think that it's very telling of the actual health of the market. It kind of like bleeds into another topic that we didn't really get to touch up on yet, right? But the main concern and the main part of, what I'm trying to say here is that like the market, I think, is for Pokemon TCG in a way is almost like propped up right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like cards, like we said earlier, right, have just become so expensive. Sealed, ripping sealed product is just so unreachable for so many people that like, it doesn't when you really start to think about it, it doesn't really make sense that the price of stuff is as expensive as it is, right? Like who's spending $5,000 on a single graded card? Like it's
Right,
crazy.
right.
And your observation is correct. Like I've noticed it too. The last like 3 to 4 shows that I've vended, even in California, like most people who come into the like onto like to the table and like look at stuff, they're buying like singles maybe, and then like every once in a while you'll see like someone pick up a slab and it's like under $100. And I was talking to
Yeah.
my friends about it. Like I sold maybe in the last month like 100 slabs, right? Like somewhere right around there.
Wow.
And um let me think about this. Probably 80 to 85 of them were to a repacker, to like another like vendor, and maybe 10 to 15 were to actual people, like customers, who came into the show to buy like a product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To buy it, to spend money. Like that is a crazy like,
Yeah.
percentage. Like
Yes.
so what that really tells you is that like the overall health, and maybe not interest just yet, but definitely the health of the market isn't as strong as everyone, proclaims, right? Like a lot
Right.
of this stuff is just us selling to like PSA and like Power Packs, GameStop, right? So that they can do their like, like the online products.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's a real big concern that I have, that if one day they do like regulations, right? Like they put laws that are like anti-gambling for like online, TCG products, right? Like that might have huge repercussions, to the market overall. And so that's something to really consider.
So expound on that a little bit for me because like just recently was reading about, I guess, whatnot. Was it whatnot? No, TikTok put some restrictions on what they would allow
Hmm.
in that regard, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the details, but so
Not the explicit details, but I heard about it. I know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
And so, like, is that the type of thing that you're saying? If that becomes more common, or I guess more severe, then it could have a
Um,
like if they
it's
clamp down on the functionality that I guess effectively the whole breaking industry has become.
I would say it's of the same school of thought, but it wasn't specifically what I was referring to. Like,
Okay.
if you go, so this was kind of like what I wanted to segue into earlier. It's basically like PSA and GameStop, they created like this, really fun, not gonna lie to you, pretty addicting product called Power Packs. And
Mm-hmm.
it's basically like a, blind box like Gachapon for slabs for graded cards, right?
Right.
And so in order to supply, to have that kind of inventory and supply, they ended up um like sending people to card shows to go and buy, like their own graded cards back, which is why PSA, like their business has exploded, right?
Okay.
Because they sell online and they charge, or they pay 90% or higher for their own slabs. And so they basically created like a market for their own products. And so that is more what I'm alluding to, but the mechanism behind it is the same thing, which is like you're essentially like, perpetuating gambling online to
Right.
whoever will buy.
Right. And I don't know how familiar you are with the evolution of this breaking thing in general. Have you watched this kind of evolve over the years, or are you? Because like to me,
Um,
well, let me answer. Let me let you answer first before I start talking.
well, let me think. Sorry, this takes a bit of thought, but I would say even in just the 6 months that I was streaming, like I had seen like a huge evolution and like just adaptation to a lot of stuff. And then ultimately toward the end when I stopped streaming, um, whatnot, and like you said, TikTok, right? Like they started making new rules around breaks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple streams personally of like, that were basically featuring breaks where you basically like, spin some kind of virtual wheel that the platform gives you, and then, whatever your buyer lands on, that's like their card for the break, right?
Right.
We
Right.
tried that a few times, and there were ways to I really tried to like, you know increase and include like a floor for my buyer so that like people weren't walking away with nothing. And so something I would often do is like, I think we ended up having like 3 break streams like only total, but like of those 3, what we did was we made all the cards in the list like illustration rares or better, so you couldn't just pull, like a common card and get nothing for your money, right?
Okay. Okay.
um, so like there are ways to like make them more fair, but what they're essentially concerned about, like the platforms and like regulators, is that like, you can essentially get nothing, right? Like if you end up pulling a common card, right, or if you get a special illustration rare as your break spot, but the card doesn't show up, then you get nothing. Like
Right.
that's very, very not okay, right? And so I didn't have a great
But
way to deal with that
so
either.
let
Go
me
ahead.
let me ask you. Like I respect a lot that you say that that's like very, very not okay. But my
Yeah.
impression in the current state of the hobby is that's not necessarily a shared sentiment. In fact, that might be like more of the antithesis to the common sentiment. Like, because to me, this whole breaking thing is that like by definition, or maybe not
Yeah.
by definition, but like much more
No, you're
likely
on
to
the
be
nose
that
with
you.
that. That's correct.
Yeah,
By
yeah, okay.
definition, it's like the problems that you may see or that you might be able to think about. Those are exactly the problems that people who do breaks capitalize on to make the money. Like it's very
Yeah,
profitable to do breaks where you can hype people up and have people spend $20, $5, like a spot, and then you're selling 300 spots because there are 300 cards in Ascended Heroes, right? Like
right.
that's you would absolutely love to do that, but it's it was something that like I didn't really like. We did try to experiment with it, but then after I saw like just how many people weren't getting the stuff, like we pivoted like off of that really really quickly. Oh,
Oh,
nice
you saw it coming. You saw it
special
coming.
illustration rare. Let's go.
Ah,
Beautiful.
let's
Yeah,
go.
we try to add insurance too, right? Like there are ways around that where like, oh, if you didn't, let's say you pulled a Gengar or like a Dragonite, right? And it's a very valuable card, but it didn't show up. We'll say, okay, well, your card was worth like 1,000 and you spent like $100 in spots, right? We're gonna give you like maybe half of what you spent in your spots, right? As
Huh.
like in a product, I'll just give you some packs or something,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like we try to make it worth people's while no matter what if they spent money, but like that's not like generally speaking the norm. A lot of the times like it's like, oh sorry, you didn't get your break, or you didn't get your spot in this break, or you didn't get your card, we're just gonna move on to the next one. That's not really like my concern, you know.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of people out there who operate in that way, and so like because of that, right, um a lot of people were reporting streams saying that this is like completely unokay because I'm spending, like hundreds of dollars and I'm not getting anything at the end. Like that's even worse than spending hundreds of dollars on packs and then not pulling the card you want, right? Because in this case, you're literally getting nothing. Like that's
And so that's the thing to me is like in theory, I can understand where breaking was, potentially a solution to the cost problem, right? Because it's potentially, if done in a manner that you're talking about, fairly, or at least as fairly as you can be without losing your own shirt running the break. You know, it can be a way to share the risk in the sense that etc is a way to share the risk and the reward. But it seems like human nature has taken hold, and we've seen the opposite side of the potential in the sense that well, let's just embrace the fact that it is effectively gambling and exploit it as much as we can, and that's the direction that it seems to have veered in, like irreversibly. I don't see, short of what you're saying, like some serious regulation coming down the pipe. What would change that? What would stop that? What would
honestly, I think what you said is pretty like it's pretty accurate. Like I also don't really see a way, for things to become like reversed. Like that's just not the trend. Like,
Yeah,
in when it
in
comes to
anything.
like free market, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like when people realize that you can use this as a vehicle to like to transport money, right? Like
right,
to like make money off of something, like you or off of someone, like it becomes like you can't like it doesn't just disappear, right? Like
right.
you can't just undo that. And so that it becomes very, very tricky. But there are things that can like not necessarily undo them, but still give you the results you want. And a good example of that is like when like the Pokemon Company, when their new printing factory in North Carolina comes up online, like fully operational in like 2028, they'll be able to print product into the ground. Like we're talking like 100 million cases, per set or something. Like just an insane. It's like a million square mile facility. You know what I mean? Like they can essentially print as much as to meet as much demand as they want on planet Earth, at least, right? And so, like, if that becomes the case, then you kind of remove a really core component of like what's driving the market right now, which is like scarcity,
Right.
right? The whole idea that like it's hard to see a Gengar, it's hard to see the Greninja, right? Is what's driving people to go and pursue this and pay premiums like beyond MSRP. But like if it becomes widely available, right? Um, you're not necessarily undoing, right, like this like this thing as a vehicle to make money, but like you are just creating enough of it such that like it's not really worth doing
Definitely.
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, this wouldn't be an issue if this scarcity wasn't there. And I guess, you know, we are hammering the current ills of the state of things, but then obviously there's always two sides to a coin, and you know, flooding the market with supply, and you know, oh, we got another one.
Oh, nice, Froakie.
Isn't necessarily what we're looking to do either. But I need to pause and like this Pokemon factory you refer to. This is a thing. This is reality. This is something
Yeah,
that's happening. Oh,
it was a there was a let me find it. Pokemon new printing facility. Yeah, massive 1.27 million square foot campus in Morrisville, North Carolina, through its
wow!
subsidiary Millennium Print Group.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
And you said it's coming on 2028. Coming
They said
online.
it should be fully operational, like all facility. I imagine that they'll start printing through this facility well before it's fully operational.
Ah,
But
okay.
like to be at full capacity will take up. I think it's like summer of 2028.
And is your understanding that their goal with this is like the very thing that we're talking about, is being able to increase the supply to meet the demand? Is
Yeah, to just really try to meet the exploding demand that's happened in the
okay.
last 2 years.
Okay.
I think that like it's a good and a bad thing. Like the reality is, um, yeah, scalpers are playing a part in this, and secondary markets, like prices are inflated like crazy. But I think a lot of it has to do is it's with the fact that it's just not, being allocated properly into the right hands. Like Target, Walmart, GameStop, like these places, Best Buy, that you can get them
That's a
for
great point.
MSRP.
Yeah.
Well, not GameStop, but like the other ones, you can get them at MSRP, right? But like the allocation for those big box retailers are like a fraction of what they used to be, because they realize they can go and sell these to rip and shippers. Like if
Right.
your entire case, for example, of I'm not sure what the actual price is, but let's just say, for example, $1,500, like market price, right? It's probably gonna be like between $600 and $900 if they sell it to like Target or one of those big box stores.
Right.
So a lot of manufacturers just decided, yeah, we're just gonna sell them to whatnot, rip and shippers or whoever.
And that's the
And
thing,
so
man. Like, that would be really nice. That would be a really nice change if you could go to Target and buy an actual booster box of 36 packs, and it was like in stock and
yeah, it used to
MSRP.
be the case, but like
That
five
would
to
be
ten
really
years
nice.
ago, there were so many pictures of that. Like like this, like the shelves completely filled with product.
Yeah.
And sure, like scalpers help empty that, but the reality is that like they're just, on a per shipment basis, they're just not getting as much as they used to.
And but like the scalpers, like it would stand to reason the scalpers are a secondary effect, because you don't get scalpers
Yeah,
if you don't
exactly.
have the scarcity to drive them, right? And
Yeah,
so
like I know a lot of people say that there's like they're very stigmatized. A lot of people don't like scalpers, and sometimes people get into fights, and they're obviously not the nicest of people. But it's like at the end of the day, if you gotta really think about it, it's like this poor guy is willing to sit in front of a Best Buy for 20 hours before they open. Like
right,
literally, they're here like Thursday at noon, right?
right,
Like sure, like you can go yell at them to go get a job or something, but it's more like they're willing to do this to get this product, right?
yeah,
Like, why should they not be allowed to, to have it? Like, why should they be shamed for wanting it, that badly, right? Like,
yeah,
it's an unfortunate result of the current situation that
exactly,
that everyone created, right?
exactly.
Like he loves Pokemon as much as you do, it's tough. So I try not to give them as much flack as everyone else. I know a lot of people online like really don't like them, but I sincerely believe they have less to do with like your kids not being able to buy Pokemon cards than like the manufacturers who are giving like Target like 1/10 the supply they used to. Like those
Exactly,
guys are the ones who are really responsible for it.
exactly.
But like
And
no one knows about that.
well, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing that I hope that ETC can do, and then I hope there's other people out there willing to do it, because there's not any money to be made unless you got a whole lot of time to make social media content and you make it really well, there's not a whole lot of money to be made in like educating the greater community at large. And it seems like the community at large, and I guess I understand it, you know, knowledge is literal value in this community, you know, and that's one thing that, you know, kind of gets called out at the card shows is that's where the margins get made, is those like one-on-one interactions where you've got a leg up in your knowledge over the guy that you're negotiating with, right?
Exactly.
And that was really cool. Honestly, like I enjoyed watching those interactions because, you know, I had not been in that environment. You know, I understood, you know, the general, you know, everybody understands negotiation, but just to see it happening in the trading card space was interesting. Hey.
Oh, nice. Fuller Ultra Rare Trainer card. Let's go. Roxy's Performance, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. But like you know, the knowledge is very. It's the key thing there, and if more people were educated, they could be more educated buyers, and there would be less potential for, you know, the rip-offs and the scams and all of these things. But there's no money in educating people, which is something that does frustrate me about the manufacturers. Is they could make it a lot more, they could be much more transparent, like you said they have to be in Japan. Like they could do that willingly, you know. It doesn't necessarily have to be that they have to be regulated to do that. You know, they're doing that by choice, and yeah, you know, that could be better. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Where are we at? Are we at halftime now?
Yeah.
All right. So,
Nice.
you know, Jeff, I'm not an insane man, and we're at 9 o'clock, and you know, I've got a whole nother box to go here before we even break into the second one. So, you might be a marathon man, but I don't think I am. So I'm gonna have to probably, dude, we gotta.
Oh, nice. It's a sign, man. You're going to the beach this summer.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's a cool.
You gotta take the wife and kids out to the beach, man.
Oh, they love the beach.
Hawaii.
I'm not a big beach guy. I don't know about you, but they make me go because they love it. They absolutely love it. And you got plenty of beach over there where you're at.
Oh yeah.
Are you a beach guy?
I think on the normal basis, you know, like regular weekends and stuff, I probably wouldn't go to a beach, but like I would definitely not say no to like Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like I'll go lay on the beach for a week.
For sure.
Like I'm gonna turn my phone off. Like I'll see you in September, man.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me ask you about past product, because this is something that I got like my single biggest eye-opening moment last year getting back into the hobby and realizing I was way out of my depth was not understanding, you know, the different formats of releases now, and getting caught up in the personal intrigue. Like my favorite current NBA player is Anthony Edwards. I love Ant-Man.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like him a lot too.
I was at my local card shop. I was actually at Cards HQ, and they had a first off the line hobby box of 2020 Prism basketball, and I didn't know so much what the first off the line meant. Now I understand what it means, and you know, it's one of the ultra premium releases of the, you know, Prism stuff.
Oh,
but
cool.
what I did know was that was Anthony Edwards' rookie year, and you know, I convinced myself that it was going to be really cool, and I was going to pull an Anthony Edwards rookie card, and it was totally going to be worth the insane amount of money that I paid for that box. And you know, you can predict what happened next. Not only did I not pull an Anthony Edwards rookie card at all in the entire box, not even the base card, but like the best card I got was a gold Porzingis, which is, you know, no shade to Porzingis, but, you know, I can think of a whole lot of other good cards to pull.
He's staying in the Warriors this year, right?
That's pretty sweet. Yes, he just re-signed.
So.
Yeah.
So I heard about that.
Do you cheer for the Warriors being over there in Cali?
Well, I mean, I think Steph Curry is definitely one of my favorite players to watch, ever. And I heard that Braun might be going to Golden
Dude.
State. Like that'd be
If
crazy.
that happens, everybody's gonna be a Warriors fan. Like
Everyone was like the you should have seen Reddit, man. They were like talking, they were making fun of him. They were like, "Oh, this is gonna be the geriatric state Warriors," because they were like all 40,
Yes.
bro. Like
the Expendables. That's what I listened
yeah,
to Bill Simmons podcast, and he's been calling it the Expendables reunion. Yeah, that would be
yeah,
insane.
yeah. I heard Anthony Davis also might end up there, and so like
That's what they're saying.
that'd be cool.
That's what they're saying. I mean, if that all really actually goes down, like that would be a good team. Like you can't deny the fact that that would have some real potential there.
My concern right now, because I live in LA, is like I'm just not sure what we're doing with the Lakers here. Like I think I'll be honest. I think they gave Austin Reeves too much money.
Yes, and
He has like
Walter
a
Kessler.
very big contract. I forget how much it was, but it was huge.
It's max. He got a max deal, dude. Like
Yeah, like
that. All due respect to Austin Reeves, like make your money, dude. But I'm sorry, Austin Reeves is not a max player.
I completely agree. Yeah,
He's
like
not a max player, and it's because Luka loves him, and they did everything that Luka wanted them to do. They wanted them to. He wanted them to re-sign Austin Reeves, and he wanted them to get him a center. And I guess Walker Kessler was the answer to that. I don't know about that either, but it'll be interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
definitely so.
Anyway, what I wanted to ask, I got into all of that story because how much do people look for past releases of sealed sealed Pokemon?
I'm gonna be honest. It's a very at this point like niche thing. I think most of the time people are looking to offload. Just from my experience, right? Like I'm not saying that there aren't people who will go and like buy something old and like open it, but like more often than not, like from this last year, I would say more than 90% of the people who are interested in sealed are people trying to sell to me, not people like being like, "Oh, yo, you got this. Can I, can I buy that?" Right? Like it does happen, but it's like if you look at like, Cosmic Eclipse or, some of the team up sets or, just like even older, right? Like it's always people are like, "Hey, I have this thing, I'm trying to sell it," and most of the time they will go and they have to like sell it to like the people at the front of the shows. Like Clover Cards is I love that YouTube channel, CLOVR Cards, and they're basically at every single front row card show. They're always at the very front of the show, and
Okay.
they pay like the best percentages, and they will take pretty much like all sealed product from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the way that it goes. Like I rarely see people like actually buy them from like booths and stuff,
Okay.
just because like they become so expensive.
Yeah.
Like booster boxes from 7-8 years ago are like $2,000 to $3,000. How much is
Smokes.
was it Evolving Skies booster box? I think is like 4 or 6K. Let me see. Evolving Skies booster box.
And so that's a natural thing that happens across the hobby, but is
it's like 25 right now.
the expected value? Hold on. What is Ryan doing when he sorts through a pack and splits it off into 2 stacks and puts them to the side? This is me separating the non-base cards from the base cards. So the stuff that you see me moving to the right over here is all the base cards. And then over here is our capture station where we're getting pictures of all the non-base cards. So that's what we're doing. I think that's what he's saying, or what he's asking.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like, so it would be the same kind of situation as any non-sports past wax, in the sense that it's gone up in price because of the potential for a hit, but like the expected value of actually ripping those packs is way less now.
Oh yeah.
Than it even would have been back then.
Yeah, you should see how crazy the vintage stuff goes for. Like some vintage booster boxes are worth more than the chase cards of the like set in a PSA 10.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that literally means it's unless you have like an insane box and you have multiple cards that all grade into PSA 10, you won't get more money than just what you have as the booster box itself.
Right.
But like those are like extremely collectible sets. Like the Legendary Collection series boxes, like those are all like crazy. They're like 6-digit booster boxes, and for good reason. They're absolutely amazing, and they look fantastic. But it's definitely the case that like 99% of like the market gets priced out from these products like over
Yeah.
time.
Right. And I when I was first started putting this company together, I was convinced that that was going to be like the main appeal, was opening past wax like that, because it is, if the current hobby is so out of reach, then that's really out of reach, for the everyday collector. But what I'm realizing, as I've put it together and learned more about the hobby, and then learned about what it's going to take to keep the business running and stuff like that, I have made it a priority to try to pick out cards that present a good value proposition,
Mhm.
well, as best you can, opening packs, because it's not a good value proposition to begin with. But it seems to me that that would be just the not smart way to spend the team's money, and the smarter way to spend most of the team's money would be on current release stuff.
Yeah, I think that like it's also I think it's a great place to start, like maybe when like volume really starts to pick up, right? That could be something to consider. But like yeah, it's crazy pricey to do that, and
Yeah.
often in times like I'm not gonna lie to you that maybe this is just a personal preference, but I will say like the modern art really is not that bad. You know what I mean? Like like the price difference, right, is mostly just due to like population of cards, right? Like how available it currently is,
Okay.
right? So like prices just won't explode. But
Right.
like really like if you're asking me like would I prefer to have like a couple, like all the or most of the Grail modern cards, or like one base set Charizard, like my answer is I'd rather have like
We know
all the
where.
Grail cards. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like do I want to spend 500K on a Charizard that is like half, like the art isn't like less than half the card, or do I want like Giratina, Bubble Mew, like every Charizard card afterwards, right? And like they're all
Yeah.
in a 10. Like that's, to me it's a no-brainer, but
Of course.
that's just my opinion. So I think that there's still a lot of merit to having like modern cards, modern sets be your thing, right? Like that's especially because they're all like they're always rotating too. They're always new, right? It's not like you're always going to be doing the same set anyway.
And the other thing is the hits are still there if it's brand new,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was something that I had to learn the hard way too. Is I thought I was going to be able to go into some past wax and pull, that I would even have a chance at a one of one, and then you realize, oh well, yeah, we live in 2026, and everything is digitally documented, and all of these one of ones have been digitally documented as pulled for years. So that
Yeah.
was very ignorant of me. I'm going to tell you what, and if you want to stick around for the last packs here, but I'm going to call it after this first case, and I'm going to have to find some other time because I have another job. I have
Yeah,
another
yeah.
job.
Actually, I think this would probably be a great time for me to stop because I actually have to
Yeah.
make dinner at 6 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
I appreciate you sticking around as long as you did, man.
Yeah, no
You're a
worries.
trooper, and I clearly still got some learning to do in terms of
No worries, man.
how
It's
much to
just
buy at
it's
a
a lot of
time.
fun. Yeah, with Pokemon, it's like you really gotta like love it. It's like my passion, and I just have so much fun with it, and I try to like inform people as best I can. Like
Yeah,
it is true. Like knowledge is like power and like money, right? But it's also like it's fun to be able to disseminate the information and like help people because the more people know, the more interested they become in it, right? Help grow
100%.
the
And that's
community
the
and
thing
stuff.
is like I love diving into stuff. Like that's what I do. I just spend all my time diving in to one thing, and once I've been saturated, then I'll dive into another thing, and it's that's
Yeah,
just it's
I
fun.
feel it.
The trading card hobby has a really unique way of just like letting you dive in and then not letting you get out because there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, I think that's the truth.
And
All
so,
right. Well,
thank
yeah,
you.
thank you so much, Ryan, for having me. Thank you, to everyone watching. Like, this was a lot of fun, and hopefully, we do this again at some point.
I would love it. I would love it. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. We learned a lot.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Have a good one. Woo! Man, this is a marathon. Ripping cards. It's not for the faint of heart. Whole nother case to go, so we'll have to make that a different day. Thank you to the 5 of you tuning in. Much appreciated. I see Padre's still on the line. Thanks for tuning in. We've pulled a lot of good stuff. We've got a lot of full art cards. We've got ourselves, I've lost count now in terms of how many special illustration rares we've got. I want to say it's 3 or 4 at this point. So that's really fun. That's really fun. The wife is cueing me to explain who we are again. There might be some new people here. And long and short of it is, we're here to make the hobby more affordable for the everyday collector. And the long of it is, we do that through a various combination of new mechanisms that the hobby has not seen yet. We're a membership-based platform, and if you're a member, you get to bid on every single card that we pull in our breaks on our website, on our auction house, on elevatedtradingcards.com. And our auctions are not just like any other auction that you're used to on eBay or anywhere else. We have a special style of auction known as a Victory style auction. And that is a blind second price auction. So that means that you bid once, no one can see what you bid, you can't see what anyone else bid, and you bid the most you're willing to pay for that card, whatever that card is worth to you. And if your bid happens to be the highest bid and you win that auction, then you only pay the price of the second highest bid. So if you won the auction with a $50 bid, but the second highest bid was $44, you pay $44 for that auction. The purpose of implementing that style of auction is we're trying to bring the price of cards down, not up. We're trying to make the hobby more affordable while maintaining fairness across the team. And fairness and transparency is a huge name of the game, which is why we have these breaks. These breaks are meant primarily as a means of documentation. Sure, it is fun to watch people rip cards, and it's super fun to watch people rip good cards. But as you can tell, we've been here for 2+ hours, and we've ripped a whole bunch of cards, and this is the ripping experience. You end up ripping a whole lot more not great cards than you do great cards. And that's, that's the point. That's where the value comes from. But this is the type of thing that in the current state of the hobby has become largely unaffordable for people to do on their own. And that's where breakers came in. Breakers were ideally meant to be a way to let people share the risk and the cost of opening packs because it's too expensive to do on your own anymore. But unfortunately, they've made that proposition no financially better, no smarter than doing it on your own. In fact, it might be worse. Because that is really gambling. And so that's where we come in. We claim to do breaks, but I don't know. I really feel like we got to figure out what a new word for what we do is, because breaking just is the wrong connotation. I don't know. Shared ripping. That's not catchy. We need something. But yeah, so we have Victory style auctions. We also have polling, board account polling. We poll the team to make sure that we're getting product the team is actually interested in. I'm not going to purchase breaks that the team is spending their hard-earned money on, and the team isn't actually interested in the breaks. Got to make sure the team is interested in the breaks. So every team member has a polling section of their team member portal where we will put up a regular rotation of polls to continually gauge the interest of the team and make sure that we're acting in their best interests. And I totally skipped over the team bank aspect, which is what allows this thing to work, in the sense that a certain percentage of your monthly dues as a member are automatically deposited into the share team bank. And that's what we use to fund the breaks. It's always a majority of your dues. The total percentage varies on your seniority, which we call your dedication level, which the earlier you join, the higher your dedication level and the more valuable your membership. Not only will it be cheaper, but a larger percentage of your dues get deposited into the team bank. No problem, Padre. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. And not only do we share the ripping risk and cost in that manner, but also we keep the money in-house when we do make money off of what we pull. Because that's what we're doing. We're making money as a team because 90% of the revenue from all the auctions on our platform gets redeposited right back into the team bank to keep the money within the team. We have a few other value multipliers, as we call them. One of my favorites is the vault, the ETC vault. Vault is not an uncommon phrase in the hobby, but it means something special here in the sense that not only do we hold on to your cards for you after you win and allow you to ship them out on a cadence that matches your time frame and allows you to bundle your shipments so you're not paying for a bunch of individual shipments. But inside your vault also houses your wallet. And the special thing about your wallet is that every bid that you make in an auction has to be backed by funds already deposited in your wallet. And that means that there's no shenanigans that you might find on your typical eBay auction with people bidding on auctions that they have no intention of actually following through on. Bid sniping is another thing that is combated by the Victory style auction. So we are in it to be an advocate for our team members and let our team members engage with the hobby on their terms in a manner that creates as much value as possible, where before ETC existed there was none. Oh, we got another one. That's pretty sweet. This is the one that I wanted to pull the most.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
Did Jeff leave?
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. He's super cool dude. We appreciate Jeff joining us.
You should let me open. I'm just kidding.
We're in the We're in the later stages of the break. This is when things get a little iffy. A little iffy. We got to keep plugging away.
We need music.
We need music. We need to fix. Oh, sweet. We need to fix the camera. This whole stream, this hand cam here has been far more blurry than it should have been, and that's my fault. I will rectify that next go round. Hopefully you've still been able to appreciate the pulls, and you've obviously still gotten your close-up shots on the capture cam. We're almost there, people. Almost there. How crazy would it be if we got the Greninja while we're plugging along here at the end?
Belgium scored again.
We're running way behind here.
This is an insane amount of cards.
Oh, we got 4 people still with us. Somebody talk to me. Engage me. Give me something to talk about.
What is all the stuff that you learned from Jeff?
Oh my God, Jeff was a absolute encyclopedia of Pokemon knowledge. I don't even know where to
the
begin.
top things you've learned?
Let's see here. I mean, it's eye-opening to see the span of time that this whole thing has. Yes, I still have a whole nother case to open, Surviving in Books. We'll do that in part 2 of this. Hopefully we can fit that in sometime this week. I don't know. You asked me a hard question. I can't even identify what.
Just tell people some things you learned.
The Japanese release and the details he shared about that, I think, were interesting. The different names that they call their different rarities, special art rares versus special illustration rares, and the reasoning for the set releases themselves having different names versus their counterparts here in the States. The fact that a lot of them are kind of one-to-one replicas, but then some are not, and why that is. Learning the difference between, what did he call them? The special edition releases, but that's not the name, the proper name for them. I forgot what he used for the name, but that was super cool. Hearing his thoughts on grading in general. Seems like a pretty level-headed guy, and I respect that because there's a whole lot of non-level-headedness going on in the world at large, but the hobby itself is not immune to that either. So I think the grading conversation has probably gotten a little blown out of proportion, but at the same time, it can be super frustrating, especially for someone who is unfamiliar with all of the knowledge and hoopla going around the conversation and the process itself. How many good gems do you think we have pulled so far? Well, I guess it depends on your definition of gem. I honestly think that the appeal of ETC, particularly as it relates to this type of break where we're pulling a massive amount of cards, and you have the opportunity to capitalize on the value proposition of every rarity of card. So, you know, we've pulled 3 or 4 special illustration rares, and those are obviously the top gems, but depending on the special illustration rare, you know, those are, you know, $50 cards, $40 cards, you know, $70 cards, you know, whatever the case may be. Now, this release itself, they're not as expensive as they can be in other releases, but even just your basic full art illustration rares that are $5, $7, $10. That's where I think the value, especially now, while ETC is still small. You know, our members bid on Jalen Brunson, you know, out of 75, X-Fractor, $35 card recently sold for on eBay, and okay. Boom shakalaka. $35 card on eBay, got it for $20. Also had a Charlie Condon out of 250 auto. That was a, I want to say $75 card, $70 card. Somebody got that one for $30, I want to say. People got a bunch of, you know, mid, you know, $5 to $10 cards for, you know, the minimum bid of $1. Oh, that's cool. And that will be the same situation here. We're going to have a pool of only 12 people bidding on the cards that we've pulled here. So the amount of full arts and special illustration rares that people are going to get for $1 or $3 or $5. And then or maybe not the special illustration rares. Those might go for a little bit more, but you know what I'm saying. It's gonna be fun. It's really fun to watch the auctions play out and see what kind of value we're able to offer to the team.
And now that there's going to be a part 2.
And now that there's going to be a part 2, we get to
You can sign up.
enjoy this process again and give you the opportunity to sign up before that happens. So we have demonstrated what's possible. We've demonstrated that we can pull a Greninja, not the Greninja, but a Greninja, and not just any old Greninja, you know, one of the good ones. We've demonstrated we can pull several full arts. We've demonstrated we can pull all kinds of good stuff. We're going to have base sets made of all these base cards. There'll be a whole bunch of them, I imagine, that we'll be able to put together for people. So there's going to be a lot of value to be had in this part 1 for our current members, and a lot of value to be discovered for those of you that join between now and part 2. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, check us out at elevatedtradingcards.com. Learn what it means to be a part of the right way to rip, and come join us. Come join the team. Lots more fun stuff to come. Everybody have a good night.
Wait, so we should just play some music while I keep doing these?
Oh.
You said there weren't going to be that many.
Unfortunately, people, we have jobs, so it is what it is. We'll do better next time. We'll plan. We'll learn. But just rest assured that every card that you saw pull here, you will be able to go on our site. It will be captured front and back in the state that it was pulled, and not a single card will be missing. Every card will go up to the team. That is my word. All right.